Welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast, a weekly comedy talk show that dives into the personal lives of comedians, experts, and creators. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, a very amateur stand-up comedian and self-proclaimed sad girl. It's the comedy podcast with a lot of heart. Feel hard and talk hard. This is the Intoxicated Podcast.
Oh my,
Okay.
well, I actually honestly, I sometimes do cold opens with this.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to get right into it.
Yeah,
I'm just going to because I feel like you and I, we have to officially turn it on and then we'll just go off forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So we're going to
let's do it. I'm
we're
on
gonna
already.
start this right now, baby. Oh my God. I mean, I feel like lately I've been having a lot of guests on that have been long awaited or been trying to have on for a while.
Yeah.
And you're one of those people. So everybody, welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with somebody I've been bugging for months and months and months. I don't even know. Well, in all
just
fairness,
be careful what you wish for. Just be careful what you wish for. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It's fine. It's fine. I'm happy to be here. Blessed to be here.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah, hashtag blessed to be here.
I'm honored to have a Halifax, someone who's just truly killing it in Halifax. Halifax favorite, a Halifax hustler.
Oh, that's nice.
Such a talent. Ryan Williams.
Oh, that's me. Hello. So nice to be here.
Welcome.
Good, thank you. You sound like John Oliver. Welcome. I love it. Yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here.
You've been avoiding it. Admit it to the listeners.
I have been avoiding. There's no denying that. I will not. I have been avoiding coming here. Not for any reason other than just self-sabotage. But you know what that's like. You know what self-sabotage is like. Come on, you know.
Name of my album.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been thinking about this lately because a couple people have been expressing the same thing, like nerves or and I've been like, okay, Sarah, you've been doing this for 5 years. I have to think about it from a guest's point of view. And I keep thinking, I'm like, if I got invited on a podcast like Intoxicated, would I be scared? And I go, yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah.
Because it's long form. There's a bunch of segments.
Yeah.
It's not like a quick half-hour podcast.
Yeah, no. I mean,
it's like a deep dive.
I've never listened to it. So I'm a little, I don't know what to expect, but no, that's not true. I listened to a couple in preparation of this.
Well, you actually you expressed interest.
Yeah, I bugged you before I started comedy.
You teased out that you wanted to come on.
Yeah, I did.
And then I kept that in mind or whatever. Yeah. And then I followed up with you.
Do you know what you told me? You're like, you have to be doing comedy for a year before you can do it. That's what
Have you been doing it a year?
I've been doing it over a year. Yeah. It's a little weird. Yeah. It's a little, yeah, you did.
I mean,
but
that's not true.
I think that I was at a table. With some other people who were also expressing interest, and it seemed that maybe that was
I see. Saving my ass a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it probably might have been.
Yeah, no, it's been. I mean, I don't want to out you. I won't say who was at that table. They know who they are.
But you know what it is? It's fit. Fit is a thing with this show.
Yeah, I feel ready to do it.
This is not a show for cagey bitches.
No, I'm not cagey.
Or people who I couldn't have, the way that I see it is if I can look at someone and go, I would have a drunk 3 a.m. heart to heart with this person.
Yeah. That's what I love about it.
That's the kind of guest for the show.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's not a lot of people, there's some people who just don't like talking about personal stuff.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I still love them, but it's just not what this show is.
Well, and that's what so I was telling you before, but for your listeners, my family probably the only ones who are going to tune into this particular one. Particular one.
Well, considering how many people you bring up to shows.
Oh my God.
Hey, everybody who's friends with Ryan.
Yeah.
Welcome to Intoxicated. You should stay subscribed to the podcast.
Smash that subscribe button. Is that what you do? Smash the subscribe button.
Smash the subscribe button.
Is that right?
Follow Intoxicated. Welcome. Stay. Come for Ryan. Stay for me.
Yeah. Oh my God. Come for me, everybody. No, just kidding. Don't stop.
That's what he was saying earlier tonight.
Anyway. No, yeah. So I am new to getting high. I only started getting high maybe 4 years ago, and so I find like conversations while high are so much fun. I saw some friends a couple months ago who I hadn't seen since before the pandemic, and we all got high together, and it was great because like we had never really had these like in-depth conversations, and I love that. So we're gonna see how this goes because you
took a couple sprays.
I have a little spray that I use. Yeah, I have this little
not sponsored,
totally
legal.
NSLC, yep, totally legal, and it's just like a little like spray. Banaka or whatever, and it
goes. You spray it, and does it taste bad?
It tastes disgusting, but I'm used to it now. Like it's not so bad that you can't just wash it out of your mouth. Like it doesn't linger. But
okay. But it does the trick. That's like that's
me now because I don't drink anymore. Well, for now, I always say for now. So I stopped drinking 4.5 months ago.
Okay, that makes me happy because I was like, I feel like sometimes people come on here and want to get drunk, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
No, it's Monday. It's Monday.
It's Monday. I'm stoked that you're here. You're like someone who's like truly killing it and has had such a strong start in comedy. That's like really, truly. And you must know this because you've stuck with it. And I think most people who start, they either get that bug and they stick with it, or it totally terrifies them and they never do it again.
Yeah.
And you stuck with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have, some, yes, that is very kind. Thank you. First of all, I did theater for a long time. So being on stage is no problem. Like that's easy to me. That's second nature. Talking in front of people, no problem. My fear was like, is what I think funny other people going to find funny? Like that was my fear.
Yeah. And not the performance side.
Not the performance side. And then what I realized right away was, okay, well, if I tell a joke and no one laughs, I never have to tell that joke again. Like I could go home and work on it if I was really in love with it. Yeah. But if nobody laughs, I just won't tell it again. Like that's me. I understand. Like I look at some people in comedy and I see them work a joke and work it and work it and work it. And that's so impressive to me.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't want to do that. My brain is like, what happened on the news yesterday? Let's talk about that tonight. Like I don't want to, there are jokes of course now because I've told them so often that have become honed.
Yeah, and those are probably ones that are what you would consider favorites.
Yeah, and those are the ones that like, okay, I'm doing a show in a new place. I'm going to tell those. Or I'm doing a show, that's paid or whatever. I'm going to do those, right? But if I'm doing a show that like is just fun, just a Tuesday night, Wednesday night show, whatever, Thursday night, whatever night of the week, I'm not going to out particular shows. But you know what I mean, right? Like I'm like, no, I'm going to try. I'm going to like, so-and-so died today. I'm going to talk about that. Or the convoy's going on. And like, I wouldn't tell convoy jokes now. It's been like months, right?
Right.
But like there was a good month there that like I would just keep adding to this little jit that I had for
Do you do a new joke every single show? Or a new little thing?
I wouldn't say every show, but I would say most shows for sure.
That is like, I feel like I'm hearing this from a lot of people who've started in the last year.
Yeah.
A lot of new people that are coming in is the fucking writing. It's so goddamn impressive. It makes people like me want to kill myself.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, release the episode first, at least. Release the episode first if we're gonna do this.
No, but it's good. It's good that you all are like really writing all the time and constantly thinking about things like that. Because I truly envy that.
Yeah, I should clarify though. I don't really write. Like I don't write. Like I kind of like we'll talk to friends and like be talking about a subject and then just write that subject and kind of riff on it.
Yeah.
And like to me, like again, I don't think that's why I have a hard time saying like, oh, I'm a comedian or whatever, right? Because to me, it's just observations, right? And it's in the moment. But I don't have like I could put together 15 minutes probably now, like after having done it for a year and it's not all going to be genius or anything like that. But like, I did a show in PEI and I did, I don't know, it wasn't really a headline spot, whatever, but I was the last one and I did 23 minutes and like, that was a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot.
But I have stuff that I can do. Whether or not it's all good, I don't know.
Well, and see, that's the thing, right? I do think like new comics coming in to Halifax right now, because of all of the stage time they can get and all of the work they can do and rooms like Foggy Goggle and rooms like Red Room and these amazing new rooms that are popping up. It's like people are learning at an accelerated rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I truly think it's making comics be like have more material quicker. Yeah. But there is that backside of perfection and polish, which all pros will speak to.
Yeah, absolutely.
The importance of, you see Claire Belford, I've heard a lot of Claire's jokes a lot of times, but they're amazing every time. and they're different every time.
Yeah,
but they're slightly different.
Talking about Claire, because why not?
Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire. She's not listening
Clara.
to me. She doesn't
Clara.
care. But I saw her last night, and there was a whole chunk of jokes that, whether, I don't know, maybe they were jokes she used to tell, but I had never heard them before.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, that's cool, right? But like, so you know Carol Burnett, right? Like Carol Burnett does a show, well, she used to, I don't know if she's still doing it, but where she would travel around and basically just answer questions from the audience, right? Like, so like they would ask her whatever the fuck they wanted, and she would just answer questions. And like that to me sounds great. Like I would love to just get on stage and just like shoot the shit with people. Like, you know, like whatever you want to ask about.
Interactive style shows.
Yeah. But that's, again, like I don't feel then, like I don't necessarily refer to myself as a comedian. I tell people I do stand-up comedy, but like it's just because
I think you can say it at this point.
I think I probably could, but like
I get it though. I was the same.
I think there's a thing that goes along with that, and I think, you know, you have to I look at people like Claire, like, you know, there's a bunch of them in the scene, and I'm like, no, those are people who like treat this like a job. For me, it's a hobby. Like it's a hobby. It's a fun little hobby.
Yeah.
If I can make some money here and there, great. But like, I don't have any. I was talking with someone last night about expectations, right? And talking about the idea of like, look, there are people I'm sure who start stand-up comedy and think in 2 years they're going to have a Netflix special, right? Like that's just their, like, you know them, I know them, right? But for me, I'm like, look, what would make me thrilled? Like what is something, and like, you know, I saw the Halifax Pride comedy show this year, and I was like, yeah, if I could get on that show one day, like that would be great for me. Like I would love that as like a you know, as a goal, right? So what's the point in like being like, oh, I want to, you know, play Vegas or whatever, right? Like that's a great goal if you want it. It's just not what I want. I like being at home too much.
It's also a very unrealistic goal.
Yeah.
You know, like especially Canadian comedy is so fucking hard. It's such a long grind that like, yeah, guys, if you want to be that ambitious, cool. But talk to me in 5 years. Talk to me in 10 years.
Yeah, if you make it great.
If you make it great. But like the amount of work that has to go fucking into it isn't goddamn insane.
Yeah.
And the payoff, literally payoff, is not a lot. And so you have to be very obsessed with stand-up comedy to pursue it as like your actual career. Yeah. I think there's a lot of us that take it very seriously, but it's not necessarily our pursuit as a career.
Right.
It's maybe an offshoot of like an area we want to go in. At least that's how it is for me.
Yeah, I think so. And that's great too, right? Like for me, it just feels like, you know, if you could be the funniest, you could be the hardest working, you could have all of these things, but there's luck in it too, right? Like there's really just luck of the draw sometimes. Like, you know, you happen to be in the right place at the right time. And, you know, and that's not to diminish people, because it is so much hard work, right? Like I would say it's like a ton of hard work, like 95%. Luck is a little bit of it, but sometimes you need that little bit, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it is just your style, like with festivals anyway, and stuff like that. The impression I get is like the organizers of those festivals have a certain type of comedian in mind, and if you don't fit that, you're not going to be it.
But then go make your own. Like that's what I think is so fascinating, right? Like to me, I see, like especially here, because I didn't, you know, where other places I've lived, I didn't do stand up, right? Like I wasn't involved in the scene at all. I would maybe go once in a while to see whatever. But what I find so fascinating here is like people are just making shit happen. Like they fucking do it on the Commons. They do it in someone's apartment. They do it on someone's roof, whatever, right? And I think like, you know, you're going to attract then the people wwho want to be at a show like that, right?
So true.
Yeah.
So true. So true. And Halifax is booming right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Truly booming. So we're gonna go back to the beginning because it's a very good place to start. Does that sound of music?
That is the sound of music.
Yeah, that's my favorite things, right? No. It's
Think again.
Do a deer?
Well, Do Re Mi is the name of the song. But yes, it goes Do a deer. Yeah.
I fucking love this.
I know you want later. We'll talk about it later, but you want hot takes. And I asked my girlfriend, I said, what are my hot takes? And she's like, all your hot takes are about musicals. No one wants to hear about them. But I've got other ones.
I know some musicals, not all.
All right. Yeah.
I'm not like a hater of musicals,
but
I'm not a fanatic. Like I appreciate.
You could be a hater. It's fine. I get it.
Yeah. We're going back to the beginning. So you and I.
Yeah. Tell them.
We have an interest. Well, actually, like first we should say, like you've been watching comedy for a long time. before trying it, right?
Like here or like in general? And
like you attended a bunch of shows. Like
I think we went for about 6 weeks to Oasis, like almost every week. Like it wasn't a long time, but it was consistent.
It was consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. And then you were like, I think I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And the impression I got was like, I'm just gonna try this thing and that'll be it.
It was like, I was like, I'm gonna try it. If I like it, great. And if I don't like it, I never have to do it again. Like it was something that like, you know, I don't know if you had experienced this before you started, but my whole life, people have said, you should try stand up, you should try stand up, you should try stand up, right? Like that was just people would tell me because I would host MC weddings or like host events or whatever. And people would this would be the thing that they would ask. So I wasn't like...
You weren't married to it, but it was always something.
I wasn't married to it, and I wasn't really that nervous. The first time I was nervous being up there, but I wasn't like nervous, right? Like I just didn't know. Again, I didn't know if what I thought was funny was going to be funny. That was my biggest fear.
That's the scariest part. That is the scariest part of all of this is literally doing a joke that you love and that's so authentic.
Yeah.
And you just spray it out there.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah. And if like, scary. You know, if I'm good and I know I can get on stage and tell jokes and people laugh, right? Like that's whether or not, you know, people that I admire find it funny, that's for whatever, right? But I know that I can make a room laugh. So, but what I was going to say is like, I was very lucky to not have stage fright. I was very lucky to know how to hold a microphone, to know how to talk into a microphone, to know how to kind of control a room a little bit. Was not a skill that I needed to learn how to do. Like you know how to like, if people are talking, you know how to kind of like deal with that in a way that's not just like running over it or whatever,
throw you
right?
off. It
that does,
throw you off. Yeah.
I mean, I still get distracted for sure, but like anyway.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that's that.
Betcha. So okay. So and I'm trying to also remember, like, okay, so Ryan and I matched on some dating apps.
When I was here visiting.
Long ago.
Yeah.
You were just visiting.
Yeah, I came out to visit before I decided to move. So I was here for like a week one summer, and that's when I think we matched.
We would have matched. Yeah. I suck at dating apps. I just do.
You missed your shot. You missed your shot. Come on. We could be married by now. Look, you missed your I'm just kidding.
But we went beyond dating apps. Like I think we started following each other on social media.
Absolutely.
And then that's how I knew you.
I think that we matched and I said, hey, I'm in town for a week. Do you want to hang out? And you said, I can't, but can you follow my podcast? I think is actually, I'm just kidding. That's not, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, who is she? I love her.
Yeah, no. Yeah, she's a working girl. No, yeah. So we matched and I do remember adding you to my Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but we had never met. We had like, I would maybe like send an emoji, like, you know, you post a story or something like that. Was like that kind of like.
It's that online friend realm where like if you saw someone on the street, you would definitely recognize them and go, oh my God, like I know you from socials, but like it's a weird thing where you've never interacted in real life.
Yeah.
And then that got ramped up to 150 when we did actually meet.
Yeah, tell them where we met, Sarah. I'm gonna take a little drink of this delicious Coke Zero.
So I have a joke about it. Not specifically about you, but I have a joke about this night. But a sex party.
Yeah.
An organized.
Yeah. I think it's so funny because when you say sex party.
Is that the right word for it? I don't call it orgy.
Know.
Because
no, it's not an orgy. Because an orgy, I know. Yeah, go ahead.
In my mind, the orgies happened in all those little rooms. Like, this was like a house of orgies.
Yeah. I don't know. Sex party to me is like, it's a party where there's a lot of sex, which like, yes, but there's also other stuff too, right? Like there's also conversation. I mean, there's also like, you know, connections.
But that's a party.
That's a party. So there's sex at the party. Yeah. I like calling them clothing optional parties. That's what I like because that can
that's like the PG version.
That can I mean, depending on what your definition of PG is, but yes, it's like, it encompasses it all.
Yeah, I like that.
But like, it's not just like, because I think if you're like, hey, you want to go to a sex party, people are like, I don't know. But if you're like, you want to go to, well, maybe not. Maybe the same. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. maybe.
Listeners, let us know which one you prefer.
Yes, please tell us which, if you've ever.
It's a strange thing to describe. I met a friend. I've had a friend for a while, and he was the one who invited me to go.
Yeah,
and
we still follow each other on Instagram.
Do you?
Yeah.
He's great. I don't know if I should say his name, but shout out to you.
You know
who
he
you
knows.
are.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Very hot. Hi.
He is hot. He is. I will say this. He is hot.
I know.
I will co-sign on that.
See, this is what is so like low-key embarrassing.
Yeah.
For me, because like I know that this is like you do this type of thing. This is kind of a realm for you.
Yeah. This is for you guys who don't know yet.
We're gonna get into it, but. For me, it was a one-off thing that I've never done before, and I haven't done since. Like, it's truly one of the most...
Would you do it again, though? Would you do it again? Yes, yeah.
But it has to be under the right... Like, I'd have to go with the right people and be in the right state of mind. Like, I think what was awesome about that night for me was, like, I was going with, like, someone I knew and trusted and, like, his girlfriend. And, like, it was, like, the three of us going in there. And it was really fun. And because I had that level of trust with him.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know him so well that it was awkward. So it was like the perfect friendship level to like go into like one of those situations with. But for me, it still remains like one of the craziest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Which shows how fucking vanilla and lame I am.
I mean, it's. I think most society has never been to one, so you're crazier than a lot of them. Like
I am.
yeah. So no, I wouldn't look at it in that way. I think it's becoming more popular now, though. Like it's definitely like I think the pandemic. If people were like curious about that sort of lifestyle, they're like took the pandemic to like be comfortable enough to try it. Like it definitely feels like there's more.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I would think it would go the other way, like with COVID and with the paranoia.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, like during. I'm not talking about. Well, I guess COVID isn't over. COVID isn't over.
We know everybody.
COVID isn't over.
Calm down, everyone.
Please don't yell at us.
Don't cancel us.
But like I think like. During the lockdowns, like I'm not saying like during, being at home with your partner and being like, hey, like we've talked about this before. What are some ways to explore that? Yeah, deeper
diving into like things like that and exploring that. I have to say, I know that there's like this weird stigma on things like this. Like people love to make fun of it or like say, ew, like what was on the wall? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
of course. I mean,
there's this kind of like negative fucking, and I don't like it because like I truly, and I'm just going to be honest with y'all. It was the most consensual experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like I've had situations at parties that were like, I felt more perved on than that sex party.
Yeah.
It was very respectful, clean as fuck.
Yeah.
So cool. Very cool people. Very cool, like attractive hot people, which I was kind of low-key surprised at.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely this idea that it's going to be like, there's going to be fucking jizz on the floors and you're going to, like, don't get me wrong, like not every, like I've been to, a number of these sorts of events in a number of places where these sorts of things happen for research purposes. It's not always like that, but I think that it definitely is for me, when I started first going, it was about feeling more comfortable in my body.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm kind of like a skinny guy and like, kind of like not, and until I was like late 20s, early 30s, I would still wear like a t-shirt going swimming, like just like a t-shirt because I was nervous about being, exposed my chest. Right. And so for me, these sorts of parties has become more like, there's every body type there. There's like you talk about the hot people. Yes, of course there's hot people, but there's just people of all kinds there and doing their thing and loving themselves. And like,
it's so free.
It's very, very free. That's the word.
I actually couldn't agree more because that's exactly what it was for me because I was so fucking uptight. I was just so fucking, I don't remember when we met and how much clothes I had on.
No, I remember exactly. I remember exactly.
You?
Yeah, 100. No, I don't, to be honest, I don't remember what you were wearing, but I remember where we were when we started
by
talking.
the lockers, maybe.
It was we were downstairs. It was a group of us talking. We had been talking for about like good 10 minutes. Cause like, by this point, Sam and I were together and then we had friends there and we didn't know you guys. Well, I knew you, but we hadn't crossed that bridge yet. But like, I didn't know your friends, but I was like, we had been going long enough that if there were new people there that were kind of our age, we were like, who are these people? Like, we want to know who they are.
Right.
So we kind of all started talking. And then, yeah, I think at one point I looked at you, I'm like, are we just going to acknowledge that we know each other? Like, are we like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like,
and then it was this weird, like, oh, hey, fancy seeing you here.
Like we haven't seen each other for the last hour. Like, those are my favorite, right? When you're like, oh, you're here? Oh my God, I didn't even, and you're like, no, you're the first person I saw.
Well, it was one of my fears was running into somebody that like I knew either like through comedy or like at this point I wasn't a comedian, but I was like friends with the comics. Like I was nervous about like running into someone who knew me. No. But like with you, it was fine because I was like, yeah, we're just like social media friends. Like it's not like you're gonna like, do you know? It's not like you're a coworker or something that like is gonna like.
Now I don't want to out anybody, but was there anyone else there that you knew that night?
No.
Okay.
Other than the people I came with.
Right. Okay. Because there are people. I'm not going to out anybody, but like there are other people.
Oh,
yeah,
that night specifically?
No. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That I don't remember.
I don't think so. And I mean, I walked around quite a bit, so
no.
I saw a lot of things.
Yeah, you would have known. And the other thing is too, though, that just to go back to, I don't know if we're going to talk about this more somewhere else, but like, what also I think is really fascinating is that I don't usually do anything at the parties other than talk to people. Yeah. Right. And like you can do stuff, of course, but like for me, it's more about just like meeting cool people and being in a setting where like you can be very open about being polyamorous or being queer or being whatever. And you just have the ability. You want to hit the bell? Hit the bell. Come on, hit the bell.
I know. I'm keep going.
But yeah, it's one of those things that like you feel so comfortable in these settings because you can talk to anybody. Like you go to a bar, right? You don't want to approach anyone. People are there, like, but this one you can just approach to have a conversation with because everyone there, at least, is forward thinking enough. And that's not to say you can be forward thinking and not go to these sorts of things, but they are forward thinking sexually, relationship wise, romantically enough that you're going to have some stuff in common.
And what I personally love about it is, as we know, I'm demi and I'm very weird with attraction and I'm really weird with sex and intimacy and stuff.
Yeah.
An event like that, I'm not me anymore. I am Sarah.
Yeah.
But I'm stepping into a world where for a night I can be out of my stupid mental cages that get in the way of me exploring, I guess, like the more raw side of sexuality. Yeah. Like it's almost like I'm playing a character. And it almost makes me feel safer to do that in that type of environment because you go in and you know what it is. Everyone knows what it is. Yep. There's no questions asked. It is not like a host party where you would go and you'd have to feel out the weird social obligations and shit. Like, it's just what it is and it owns what it is. And that's what I love about it.
That is even heightened when you go to an event like that in a city where you don't know anybody. Oh. Because then you don't even have the fear. You don't even have the fear of running into someone you know there.
Be wild.
Right? Like, I mean, maybe you do. Maybe like they happen to be on vacation where you are or whatever. But like, we've been to some other places where they have like, actual full clubs, like full on like dance floors and like, like all sorts of stuff. And like, it's a totally different vibe when you just are like, yeah, nobody knows who I am here. I can just
totally
kind of be
different
whoever
city.
I want.
Like, what are the chances you'd run into anybody?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're even more free.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool thing, and we didn't like declare like. You make jokes with this that I have to clarify every time.
Yeah.
But people are going to wonder. Yeah. Nothing happened between Ryan and I. We're friends. We're buds.
Yeah, we're just homies.
By the time we met, you were with Sam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like also too, like I mean, I hooked up with two couples. But like I also met like another couple there that I'm still friends with, and like one of them came to the More Than the Tip.
Oh, really?
Show. Yeah. So it was interesting. It was fun.
Who? Oh, wait, I think I know who it is. I know exactly who it is. Yeah,
you might not like recognize her.
Yeah, no, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Because I didn't, she added me on Instagram and I didn't have, she messaged me and it's like, do you really not know who I'm like, fucking, I have no idea. But that's the thing is some people change their looks in a way to come to these sorts of parties where they can be exactly what you just said, which is someone else, right? Like they get this opportunity to be a character, right?
Yeah.
Or like, a character or like a part of themselves that like they never really got to explore.
Like and that's what I feel fascinating about it because like the people that you met there, like you find out that they're receptionists. They work at car dealerships.
Yeah.
They like and it's just wild to me because you go, we are all fucking freaks.
Yep.
Like every single one of us has a freaky side, a kinky, franky side, and like this is just a place where all of that can come out judgment free.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing,
amazing.
just judgment free. And right. For me, that is like where I try to come at now in like all aspects of my life, right? Like where I, have to assume for my own brain that people are doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise, like if I start assuming that people like are just everyone's a piece of shit, which I know some people do, and that's cool, but like I can't live life. Like what's the point in living life then?
True.
Right? Like if we at least acknowledge, look, do we all rise to the occasion every time? Fuck no, of course not. I don't often, right? Yeah. But as long as we're trying, I think that's like, and acknowledge that that's what everybody else is doing.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's like that helped from being within this, like going to these sorts of parties and these sorts of clubs and stuff like that. Yeah.
So freaking cool. And I remember like after the fact, like when I started seeing you at shows, one thing that I remember, I'll never forget, is so fucking funny to me. Like you and Pam were at Gus's one night and I stayed back and we chatted.
Yeah.
This was before you started comedy, I believe. Or maybe it was close to around the time that you started. But we were talking about the night.
Yeah.
And it was really, really funny because we were like getting into it and talking about things. And then I don't remember how it came up. Someone was just like, what are you into? And I was just like, I'm a sub. And you literally like rolled your eyes and you're like, of course.
Yeah. Well.
And that was the funniest thing because it was just like, you were just so like, yeah, oh, no shit. Like, of course you're that. But I just thought that was so funny.
It's funny though. Like I love to, that's funny. That sounds like something I'd say. I love to like, just like, I don't know. I've always been very good at kind of reading people. Yeah. Like just like really like kind of like looking at someone and being like, I feel like these are your things. And like, yeah. And, not in like any sort of like weird, I know you're into the zodiac and astrology, not in any way like that. Not that I think I'm like whatever, but I don't know. I'm just a people person.
Do you think there's something to the idea that like people who are more out there, extroverted, loud, aggressive, like in real life are more sub?
Yeah, 100%.
Like in their bedroom life?
Yeah.
Night
like,
life?
Okay, so if you are a family member watching this, just skip over this for now.
We should have probably put that in long ago. Sarah,
I would
put in a little clip at the beginning of the sex party stuff. Employers, family, please skip away.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who are like, look, I'm not gonna like really like have good, well-paying, important jobs who are strong, super strong women who also like to indulge in like just being super, super submissive, right? And I think it's just this opportunity to like turn off this other side of you and like turn off this like boss bitch or whatever they say now, like side of you, and just be like, whatever, right? Like,
tell me what to do.
Yeah,
like I don't want to work. I don't want to work tonight.
Yeah. Like I don't have, look, I'm a pretty progressive person. I think I'm not like, insane, but like I'm pretty progressive. And, there's still something within biology that like, if we were at the roast battle and someone told Sam to fuck off and I wasn't there, but I went to like find this guy, like I was gonna, because she told them to, anyway, it doesn't matter. They were talking. Okay. But I like went to find this guy, like, what am I going to do? Right. Like, what am I going to do? Give him a stern, like talking to, but like, I went into this like crazy protector mode where like, and again, like I'm not like a man needs to protect woman person at all. But yeah, every so often you just kind of like flip into this like, different thing, like this sort of gender role thing, right? Yeah. And maybe not everybody does, but just for me, it definitely like, it clicks in from time to time.
It plays a part and you can't really fight it. Yeah. It's just a natural like instinct.
Yeah. And I think for women with that submission, right? Like there's just something inherently there. I'm not smart enough to talk about it and like don't.
That's actually like a really good point, because if you think about like romance novels and shit, like it's always like the guy pursuing the girl, and like when you think about like love scenes and like movies, like it's always missionary, the girl on bottom. Like it's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it is this weird thing.
It's the thing too though, like where I don't know, you're 35, you said, so I'm 41, so that we're close-ish, but like when I was growing up, I was like, oh, you have to like, if you like a girl, And like, you know, you just have to grab her and kiss her. And like, that's the romantic thing to do. Right. And like now, of course, that's terrible.
Now it's
but like,
completely
but
opposite.
that's like growing up, right? Like everything I knew about romance was from movies where it's like, oh, she's not that into you, but you're going to win her over.
Yeah,
right.
stand outside with a boombox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
grand
right?
gestures.
And like,
yeah.
grand gestures. Oh my God.
I still like the grand gestures.
I like doing them.
Yeah,
I like doing them.
I like them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You like them from, here's the thing. You like them from the people that you want them from.
Bingo.
Right.
Bingo,
But
bingo,
I mean,
bingo.
that's fair. That's fair. Like no one
Bingo.
wants to be grabbed and kissed by someone they don't like. Right.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it's just a different way of looking at things.
It's a totally different way of looking at things. So that's like our origin story, which is very interesting. It's cool to know someone who was there like on that night, because like I said, it is still truly one of the coolest things I've done. Not to brag. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, you should. They're fun. They're fun.
And going back to what you said about not doing anything at them, that was my plan.
Yeah. There's nothing, there's no, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you should just come. It's cool people. Like it's cool, chill people. And like, that's really what it is, right? Like, of course there's some people who go and like, they're looking just to have sex. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that's, you know, people who maybe have kids or whatever. And they're like, this is our one night out this month. Like, do you know what I mean? We're going to like go ham or whatever. But, it's just, everyone goes for different reasons. And I think that like, there shouldn't be any sort of like stigma about it.
Lower your what's the word? Inhibitions. Yes. Lower them. So we're warmed up now. We're going to get into the first segment, which is the assumptions.
Oh my God. I'm so excited about this. I wish everyone would tell me their assumptions about me. Honestly, like I'm just curious.
Well, this is why I like this segment, because it plays into perception.
Yeah.
And our perceptions of each other.
Yeah.
Whether that be what we know, like from real life, but also like social media, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let me see. So I'm going to put these two assumptions kind of together.
Okay.
And this is, so I said that I feel like you're someone who has a lot of free time, but you also probably have a good amount of money. Let me explain myself. Because of your active social life and how you always seem to be doing cool things.
Yeah.
Either like out and about socially, or like you're like watching a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And I just think, when does this guy work?
Oh yeah. Well, so
free time and money?
Yeah, my main job, I do transcription work. So I set my own hours. So I just sit and type all day. So I I can check my phone when I want. I can wake up early and work. I can work late. So like
work.
Yes, I do work. I do work.
But you're so social. You do so much.
But like, I think that for me, a big part of that is because I don't work with anybody. Right. So I'm not social all day. Right. So like, I don't have to go to an office. I don't interact with anyone. My boss sends me work, and like, sometimes we'll talk on the phone if there's a problem, but like from day to day, I don't interact with anyone job wise.
That makes total sense. And that's something I did not know.
Yeah. So then I will go out at night. Like, you know, I'll just go to a show. Also, like, I mean, we were talking about this, but I live downtown, right? Like I live like walking distance really anywhere in Halifax.
Right.
And so that makes it a lot easier too, because you don't have to worry about the boss. You don't have to worry about not drinking enough drinking too much.
Freudian slip.
I got high and it's kicking in now.
There it is.
But yeah, no. So anyway, so it's one of those things where like, yeah, that's why I wouldn't say I have a lot of money. I would say that, I am someone who spends the money I have. Let's just say, like, I'm not like, if you were to look in my savings, there's not much in there, right?
Honestly,
like, I'm like, yeah.
That's reassuring.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why I was like, I feel like he has a lot of money.
No.
Because like you just do so much cool stuff all the time.
I hope friends that knew me before I moved to Halifax listen to this, because the fact that they're like, no. And also, I mean, I got very lucky when I moved here, and with help from my family, bought a small town, like small little condo. And it was like before the boom, and it was from someone who really, really wanted to sell it. And I got it for like a incredibly low price. And so my mortgage is small too. So that helps.
Right.
But no, like I think living with someone obviously now is easier too. There's more money.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't. I also am pretty good at finding ways to get into places for, like I'll offer to volunteer, right? And then I don't have to pay to go or whatever. Or like I find a lot of free things to do.
Okay, the next assumption I have
Yeah.
is you've had great birthday parties because you have tons of friends. So I'm going to assume that you always have a good birthday and you always have friends around you on your birthday and your birthday parties have been popping. You hosted a fucking comedy show on your birthday.
That's true, I did. This year. But no, the two before that, we were in lockdown for. Both of my birthdays. Yeah. Actually, the year I turned 40, we were in lockdown.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we were in lockdown on my 40th birthday. Yeah, I mean, I like having people around. I'm at an age now where like I'd be more happy if other people planned the parties and I could just come to them.
Right.
But they don't know how to do them properly. So I need to still plan them until they figure that out, right?
I feel that hard.
I like things the way I like them, right? Like it doesn't have to be fancy, but I want it to be good. And yeah, no, so I have big birthday parties.
I just love that so much because it's so I'm the exact same way.
Yeah, like-
I'm like such a perfectionist in a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love birthdays. I'm not one of these people who is like doesn't want to celebrate a birthday. I'm always happy to celebrate my birthday.
Good.
We had to get pretty creative when like Sam's first birthday that we were together was in lockdown. Both of my first birthdays together when we were in lockdown, or the first and second birthday. So we had to get pretty creative. But I definitely like the idea of it being all about me for a day. Or a week or a month.
Right?
Like that's great. That's fun. And like just that little being able to have that excuse of like, can you get me some more pop because it's my birthday? Like my poor girlfriend, if she listens to this, I am so good at like being a piece of shit. Like I'm so good at it. So she'll be like, I'll be like, what are we having for dinner? And she'll tell me, and I'll be like, okay, do you want to make it? Cause you're so good at making that. Like, I'll just like have these little like dumb things like, and
You say things in a way that make it seem like a compliment, but it's your way of like
being like
getting what you want.
Yeah,
Totally. I can.
My mom told me like, this is like when I was young, but she's told me through my life, she's like, whatever you want, you get. Like, she's like, you just have always been very good at like, I don't want to say manipulating because that sounds so bad, but like you're very good at like getting people to a place that they want to do what you tell. I think
it's a great trait.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there that they don't step it up. They don't do what they want. They don't ask for what they want.
You have
They don't
to.
strive for what they want. And it's like, if we can do it, why not?
You have to. We're here. Look, I'm going to assume you don't believe in heaven. Like, or like, I'm just going to assume you're not a religious person. Like,
Sorry, that's the funny.
I don't know. Is that fair?
I'm not religious.
Do you believe in heaven?
God, that's a deep question. I don't know.
I think I have to.
I like to believe in an afterlife.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, there has to be something because it's too crazy to think that like I'm just going to be gone.
Yeah, that's what
I think I've come to the point where like I think like if you are in heaven, that there's a heaven and we all get in, everybody gets in. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody gets in. But if you lived by the rules of whatever religion you are, you get like a gold star that you get. Not gold star. That sounds bad. You know what? Like a sticker that says I lived a good life on earth.
Right.
And you can just point at that anytime. Because that's all those people really want, right? They
True.
just want to be a little bit better.
A little bit above.
Than everybody else, right?
So true.
And then if you're a bad person, someone the other day, they're like, well, what about bad people? Like, what if Hitler's down there? I'm like, well, we all know what Hitler looks like, right? So like, if he comes up to me, I'm not talking to him. Like, I'm like, dude.
They'll just be
like,
loners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll just have to be a loner, which is fine.
Maybe if we're talking, if heaven has like hotels, like the bad people will be like at a motel.
Yeah, that's
and like
fair.
The middle of the road people will be at like a DoubleTree.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like
DoubleTree has good cookies though. I don't know. Have you ever stayed at a DoubleTree?
No, and I wish I did on the night of the Dirty Show. I really should have done that.
You should. So when you check in at a DoubleTree, here's a little plug. When you check in at a DoubleTree, they give you a warm cookie.
Oh,
do you know
that's
that?
So cute.
Yeah. The first time I ever really, really traveled on my own, I stayed at a DoubleTree and I went in and I like, whatever, did the thing. And they're like, would you like a cookie? I was like, what? I had no idea.
Excuse
and like,
me?
fuck, it was like the best cookie.
Oh my God. That's honestly.
Next time you do a show at Darkside, just go to the desk and be like, I hear you have free cookies, or save it when you stay. But like,
I should have done it the night of the show.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like,
That's what I did the night of Kyle's show. Like both nights I had a room because I'm just
it
like,
would be
if
nice.
you're there, it's not fun to like, I want to be able to just shower there, get ready there, not have to drive and
have like a get ready space, stuff like that. Love it, love it, love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it, love it. Okay.
Is that it? Is that it? Do you have more assumptions?
So I'm kind of right, but also not really.
Yeah. I love birthdays. I love being people celebrating me. Yes.
I
yes.
love that.
That is a good assumption.
Something on
Taurus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. You've applied for Big Brother.
No.
You haven't?
No.
Would you
I
apply
think-
for Big Brother?
I think, first of all, I would. Do you watch Big Brother?
So I used to.
Oh, okay.
I have not in a long time.
Okay.
When was the last season I watched? Like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I stopped watching.
Yeah.
I used to be fucking diehard Big Brother
Would you
fan.
watch like the live feeds and stuff like that?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay. So
I also listen to podcasts recapping the episodes.
Okay,
And the
okay.
live feed updates.
So I was diehard Survivor person. So
Oh,
would
nice. Mm-hmm.
watch Survivor all the time. And the first season of Big Brother, I watched it. And I think at that time in life, like I'm old, right? Before PVRs and stuff, right? So like if
Right.
you missed it, you were
Screwed.
done. And I've always been a social person, so I wasn't like I watch a lot of TV, but the invention of PVR has made TV so much easier for me. So like Sam really liked Big Brother. So last summer we watched it, and the cast on the show was so good and like so just lovable and stuff. And now we're watching this season, and they're just a fucking bunch of idiots. Like they're just
Really?
like awful, dumbass people. There's a couple of good people, of course, but anyways, no, I've never applied. I did when I was like 19 or 20. So I don't think it would have been Big Brother, but it was some sort of Canadian reality show where people lived together. Like
Interesting.
it was like The Real Life Toronto or something. It wasn't that, but it was something like that.
Fascinating.
And I went and stood in line to apply to be on it, but then the lineup was taking too long and I had to go to work. So I was like, I'm not going to stay. Like,
Nice.
so that was that. That's the only time I've ever tried to.
Would you apply?
Yeah, I think I would be so good at Big Brother.
You would be so
Yeah,
good at it.
I think I would because I'm very good at making everyone think I like them, even when I don't.
Yes. And I'm saying this as someone who
Yeah.
very much so likes you. You
I-
are good at that.
I
don't know where I stand with you.
No, we're friends. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here.
But it is a skill
It is
that you
know,
could use in Big Brother.
Yeah, I think I would love to do it. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know like mentally, brain capacity wise, if I could handle being with the same group of people for that long. So I don't know what that would do to me, but like I just at this point in my life, it's not something I'd ever be interested in. But if it was like 15 years ago, and here's the thing, if it was 15 years ago and I was as confident in myself as I am now, and like as happy with myself as I am now, then like I would love to do it.
Oh my God, that's exactly how I see it too.
Yeah.
Because I see it as I would never do it now, but like I've auditioned 2 or 3 times for Big Brother Canada. Oh, one I sent in an audition, and then the other 2 times I auditioned in person. And there was a time where I was really fucking going for it.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want to fucking be on Big Brother. And people were telling me, you would be so... I think people were essentially just like, you would be someone people would make fun of. Like, if you were on the show.
No.
Like I got the impression that people were saying that I would be like a polarizing person. And I was like, I kind of agree, but those are the best people on Big Brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully polarizing in a good way, right?
Yeah, like
But
either
no.
love or hate, like a Rachel Riley.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is. Like that's the
You
thing.
don't know
I
Rachel Riley?
No, I've only watched the 2 seasons.
Wait, US or Canada? Are you
US,
watching?
US,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you haven't watched any Canada?
I haven't. No, it's such a commitment, right? It's such a like 3 times a week. That is like a big commitment.
I would implore you to not watch all seasons of Big Brother Canada.
Yeah.
But the first season
Okay, the first season. I'm gonna write it
is
down.
something else
First season.
because of the finale
Okay.
and what happens in the finale.
Oh my God.
And it's just one of those things where I think you would fucking love it.
Yeah.
I would suggest watch season 1, screw the rest.
I find when those shows are good, they are so good.
So
like
good.
so good.
So good,
Yeah.
so good, so good, so good.
So
no, I
yes.
totally
So
agree.
to answer that assumption, no, never auditioned for any sort of TV talent, anything like that. No,
Interesting.
no,
Interesting.
no.
Interesting.
Sorry to
interesting.
disappoint you.
I'm not doing so good.
No, I think you got the first 2.
Okay. Well, I just wrote underneath, he'd be good at it.
Yeah.
You'd be good at Big Brother.
Yeah.
So that's correct. So this, I mean, in this, you might have maybe kind of answered this earlier, but I just wrote like, because of the kink community, the things that we do when we're not doing comedy, you know, I don't know what you would call that. Nighttime activities? Like, I don't know what the word is, Ryan.
Well, like, ask the question, then I'll tell you what a good word. Like,
I feel like that version of you is probably very different from what, like, a lot of us know. Like, your archetype or, like, who you are.
Well, what's my archetype? What's my archetype?
I don't know that side of you, but I can only assume that it might be very different from what you put
Are you asking if I'm a dominant? Is this like yeah okay.
I'm trying to dance around it.
No, just ask.
I'm just trying to dance around it.
You know, for okay, so here's the thing. And again, if family's watching this, just skip over.
Warning.
Yeah. For me, you were talking about how when you came to the club, you felt like you were able to like be a different character.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to sex and sexuality for me, I really like to, whoever I'm with, right? Whatever they're looking for, I like to see if I can adapt to what they're looking for. So like, let's just say that it's someone who likes degradation, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's someone who likes degradation. I'm so embarrassed. But don't edit this. Don't edit this. Keep it all in.
You hear that, Sarah? He wants to keep it in.
Yeah, keep it all in. I want to be real. Anyways, if that's what they like, look, there are people, let's take me aside. Okay. There are people out there who have sex where, you know, whoever is the sort of top or dominant is saying really awful things to someone, like really degrading, awful things.
Fucking terrible things.
It is fun for people to tap into that. Now, that's what the difference is between someone who can tap into that as a character or for the fun of it versus someone who like genuinely thinks those things.
Yes.
Right. And you can tell, it's very easy to tell the difference between the two. But, you know, so for me, like, I think that my, you know, lifestyle friends, I hate that word.
That's
but it's
the
like,
word I was looking for.
It's a word that works, but I hate it.
It's a broad
I would say
term.
my lifestyle friends, if they see me doing stand up, they're like, oh no, that's Ryan. Like, that's who I know.
Oh, okay.
But I think like when it comes to play, for lack of a better word, then like, yeah, there's all sorts of different things based on your mood, based on who's there, based on who you're with, based on
You're
XYZ.
a chameleon.
Yeah, sure. A shifter.
You adapt to whoever you're
Yeah, I
with.
can. I mean, I don't know that like I'm really into like being degraded myself. Like if someone wanted to do that, I'd be like, you're probably barking up the wrong tree for this, right?
Yes,
but
okay.
like, yeah, like, you know,
Yeah.
I get that shame when I go on stage. I can get it other places. I don't need to get it.
That is fucking fair, man. Which is weird because I kind of low key like being the great. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's different from your stand-up too, right? Because on your stand-up is very aggressive. Like it feels very like pointed and in your face, right? So that you is different from maybe what you like.
Yeah, I want it back at me.
Right,
When
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not doing. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's so fucking fast. I just find it fascinating.
I love talking about it.
I think it's such a like a fascinating thing about human nature.
Yeah.
Just like who we are. Like it's the same idea of like when people fucking talk about like what kind of porn people watch.
Yeah.
It is fucking wild, the shit that we do when we're horny.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's why, like, you know, for most guys, right? Like you have an orgasm and then you like, everything floods back into your head.
Post-night
and,
clarity,
like,
right?
Yeah. And then it's just so much easier to go to bed, right? So I'm not going to have to deal with this like shit I just said to this person or the things I just did or whatever, or what I just watched. I'm just going to go to bed and forget about it. And
Well,
then
it's
I'll
good
wake
that
up
you
and
can
be
go
horny
to,
again.
It's good that you can sleep at night.
I know.
After,
I know what you do. I know what you do. I know what you do. You plan your wedding. I've heard the joke. I'm just kidding.
It is such a weird thing though. Like for me, that sex party was a very weird experience because it was so cool, but the day after was one of the worst days of my life
Because of something that happened there, or just like some shit
because
happened?
I don't think I was ready for what happened, and I don't think I had a proper transition from what went down to back to real life. There was no real like.
Do you know what that is though? Like
aftercare.
well, it's not just aftercare. There is something very serious called drop. And they call
subspace,
it
right?
Subspace is like what you get into, right? But then the next few days are like what they call drop, which is essentially like, you know, so I've done MDMA a few times. And like, I don't know if you've ever done that, but like you feel like shit for the next couple of days, right? And like to the point that we went to see Marcel the Shell, that movie, and I bawled through it. And then we left, and a friend of ours' sister works at the movie theater. So we're walking out and she's like, how was the movie? What was it about? And I started I started talking about it, and I started crying again. And then I went to the washroom to like, whatever, calm myself. And then Sam and I are walking home, and she's like, so like, why did you cry? And I started talking about it again, like 10 minutes after, and like still started crying again. Like MDMA fucks you up. The point is, drop is like, you know, you've just had these like euphoric, probably like wonderful feelings, high, really, really high, feeling amazing about yourself. And then you're like, oh, I'm in my bed and like back to my normal life. Right. Like, and so of course there's some sadness. It's no different than like coming back from a vacation and being sad about that, right? Like, and so if you don't know how to deal with that, yes, aftercare is another thing that's super important, but drop is something that like, you know, I know people who are like, yeah, the day after I go to a party, I just like plan the day as like, I'm going to have a bunch of candy around. I'm going to watch all my favorite movies. I'm going to sit in my pajamas all day. Like genuinely have a plan worked out of like how they're going to spend their day after going to a party.
Because it's a lot to process.
It's a ton to process.
For me, I think that the issue was the fact that I hooked up with two couples who in the end were left with this amazing experience and probably grew stronger together because of it. And I had no one. Yeah. So it was this weird feeling of like almost being like, I was kind of felt a little bit used, but like I fully was like wanting to be used in the moment. Yeah. But it was this like weird feeling of like loneliness.
Did they check in with you at all?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
The next day, yeah. But it was more like, that was fun what we did. It wasn't like, how are you doing?
But and then the question is too, like with them is like how, and I don't know, right? But like how new are they to it? Because like now having done like, you know, having been involved in a lot of these sorts of things, you kind of start to realize like, look, I should just like, if something happened last night, I should just check in. Yeah. So like, I'm really like, and again, I'm a texter. I like love to just be in contact with people all day because I don't have people at work. So it's a lot of fun. It's like, it needs to have that level of, you know, accountability for lack of a better word, where like, okay, I'm going to make sure that if, you know, they call it a unicorn for a reason, right? Like if someone is like willing to like be a single person and come in and join us, we need to make sure that we're going to like take care of her after, which I'm sure they just didn't think about it.
And
like,
that was the
it's
thing.
not nothing.
It was nothing where I went like, these people don't care about me. Yeah. It wasn't really even like that. It was just like, I went to watch and a lot more happened. Yeah. And I was also like very in love with someone at the time that I was kind of like we had like a long distance phone relationship. Right. And I was kind of using that scenario to like turn him on. And, and I was using, and then he kind of dropped off and I was just like, oh, I feel like garbage.
But it was also like, correct me if I'm wrong, it was also like between Christmas and New Year's, right? Yeah. Which is a hard time as well, right? Like
that's I mean, so true.
Not for me, but I love Christmas. Like I love Christmas, but like, I was telling you earlier, so before I met Sam, I'd been single for about 8 years. And so I had a lot of alone Christmases, right? And so I know that can be, and I love Christmas, but I know being alone on Christmas is not an easy thing. And so then when you're like, not only alone, but like, oh, I had this great experience, but like now I'm in bed alone.
Now what?
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's like a now what? Because now those couples are probably like banging harder because of this fun thing that they did. But like I'm still alone without intimacy. Yeah. And it's just very eye-opening. Yeah. Eye-opening experience. I didn't know you were single for that long, 8 years. Yeah. I didn't realize it was that length of time.
Yeah, it was a long time. Like I shouldn't, like, it wasn't totally single. I would date girls for 2 months or 3 months or anything, but like nothing that I would have called a relationship, right?
And okay. So you were still getting some during those times. Yes. So like just not dating.
Not dating. No, dating. But not a relationship. Long term.
Got you.
Oh yeah, no, I was all over the apps, like all over the apps.
I thought for some reason you and Sam were together longer.
We've been together for just over 3 years now.
It seems longer than that, but that's a good thing when I say that.
Yeah,
it means that you're solid.
I mean, I haven't even been here 4 years.
It's wild.
I moved here and we met like 4 months afterwards.
That's fucking wild.
I joke that it's like East Coast hospitality. They're like, you moved here and here's a perfect girlfriend for you who like has everything you need in a person and almost everything. But yeah, no, it was like like she won't like this if I talk about this, but like I love her. Like she is like the best possible human for me. And like, of course we fight. Of course there's like issues, like we have them all the time, right? But like, I just can't imagine wanting to try to get through life with anybody other than her. Aww, and like, it's the best.
That's so sweet. Yes. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. Because that's all we're trying to do. That's all we're all trying to do, right? And I'm not even convinced that we're going to make it to, like, not her and I, but like the human race is going to make it to like I'm not.
It's a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, no. I'm like 10 years.
But when we don't, you'll have someone.
Yeah.
To embrace
what's
us.
that? There's a movie or something like Searching for Someone for the End of the World or something like that. It's that sort of idea, right? A friend for the end of the world, right?
Love
and
that
like,
movie.
Thankfully, I find her attractive and we have sex. So
perfect.
Yeah, like what a win! What a win!
Fucking win, man. Very happy for you. You guys are great.
Sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, it's a podcast. What you're supposed to do. Good. So okay, I'm gonna get through these next couple assumptions and we're gonna move on.
Okay, I'll rapid fire it.
To the rest. Okay, here we go. People are always shocked at your age.
Yes, always.
People think you're way younger than you are.
Yeah. When people find out that Sam and I have 14 years between us because she's 27, they are floored. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But you truly don't look.
No.
You look way younger.
Yeah.
I'd put you at my age.
35. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. No,
or
that's
like 30 to 35.
Yeah.
Like in that
that's
range.
usually I get like 32, 33, 34 usually if I just ask people.
Yeah. And do you like that about yourself? Or is it a weird thing?
It's, I guess, it's better than the alternative, right? Like being 41 and looking 51, I guess.
Truth.
It's become a joke now more than anything.
Right.
It did make dating hard. Like dating women my own age, it made it hard.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one, which I think is well, actually, maybe we'll see. I just wrote that you have a large social battery and people don't drain you easily.
Yeah. I do. I just love people. Like I find people fascinating.
Same.
And if you have like this sort of thing, like, you know, I don't want to do a podcast, like have one, but I would love to just sit around and talk to people.
Yeah.
Right. Like, people are fascinating. Conversation and like good conversation. Like I'm not good with small talk. I'm terrible with small talk. Like I don't want to have it.
Yeah.
I always tell people when I go on a first date, I'm like, I have like no first date etiquette. I will ask you everything. You don't have to answer it all, but I want to know everything because like if you have brothers or sisters or like what you do for work, if we get along, I'll find all that out later.
That's right.
But like I want to know like the crazy stuff.
What type of things do you want to find out on a first date?
I always ask someone, tell me something shocking about yourself.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. I want to know something that people might find surprising, that people wouldn't maybe know about you or assume about you.
I love that.
Yeah. What else do I ask? Like, I want to know all the old relationship shit. I want to know, like, you know, why you're single. I want to know what you're looking for. I want, like, 5 years from now, what do you like? Yeah, no, like,
why this not? On a first date?
Why not? Because here's the thing.
Not?
If this is what I think. This is what I think is if someone wants to be with you, right? You want the kind of person who is open to having those conversations right away.
Truth.
Right? Like, I don't know why people. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day who's single as well. You guys would actually probably get along.
Woman?
No, it's a woman. Sorry.
God damn it, Ryan.
You're
Fucking
both.
Christ.
You're both in the hunt. Can you guys? Because you're probably, I think, very similar ages. Like, can you be friends with single women your own age?
I would love to. Yeah. The thing is like. For me right now, I need to put myself out in the wild more.
You do, yes.
I do.
The only way.
So hook me up with women to go for drinks with.
The only way it works is if you put yourself into it, right?
Yep.
But I was saying to her, and she's like, well, like, I don't want him to know that, like, I'm this crazy, like, on the first day. I'm like, no, fucking let him know. Because here's the thing. If you wait, it's going to be way worse for you.
Yes,
it's going to be way worse for you. Yeah, exactly. Well, for you, it's like you meet someone and you're in love, right? Like, but like it's to me, it's this thing of like, you know, if people don't know your shit right away, and I'm not talking like, look, there are things, of course, we all have that we don't talk about the first time we meet someone. But like, you know, if you don't share that, if you don't put yourself out there, then like, you know, why?
You're going to risk, number one, you're going to risk maybe not getting a second date to share those things.
Yeah.
If you don't do it and you just keep dragging things on without showing who you are, you will get feelings. And then when the guy's like, shit, I didn't know this was what you were all about, I'm not into it, then you're going to be heartbroken. So
okay, I know I said I would like, but I'll just tell this little story of Sam and I's first date. So we met on Hinge and she was like, she wanted a polyamorous relationship. She put it in her profile. I'd never done that before. I'd done other things, but like never been polyamorous. I thought the idea of dating other people, like falling in love with other people was foreign. I was like, there's no way. Yeah.
Whoa.
But so we met and we talked on the first date. We talked about everything on the first date. And she didn't want to get married, which was really, really important to me at the time. And she didn't want to have kids, which was really, really important to me at the time. And I was like, you know what? This girl has everything else. I'm going to see what happens. Like, what's the worst case scenario? I like have a great time with someone and we don't get married. Like, is it more important to find someone that I don't click with this way because of XYZ? Right? Like, because they don't want to get married, because they don't want kids. I'm just going to be like, bye. Not for me.
So you wanted kids and to get married.
Yeah. And she did not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry if that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just dated, and now she's like more open to the idea of marriage, but now see, I don't want kids anymore. I'm like, why would I want kids in this fucking like crazy ass, world? And then I finally met someone. So like, look, best case scenario, your kid leaves home at 18 and is self-sufficient, like best case scenario. Right. So I'll be 60 if I had a kid next year. Like, do I want to waste those years like now with a kid when I can like spend it with this person I love? Right. Like, no shade to people with kids. I love kids. They're great.
But you make a great point, because I think a lot of people are like, ooh, like people say I'll change my mind, but I won't. And it's just like, people can change.
Yeah.
It can fucking happen.
Yeah.
And to say that it for sure won't, I mean, I guess there are some people who are really firm set in stone.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm just one of those people who's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a hell yes. I'm not a hell no.
Yeah.
I am let's look at options. But if it doesn't happen, I won't be heartbroken.
Yeah, no.
Like, that's kind of where I'm at.
But you also, I think you have to come to, not you, but as someone who was single at your age, right? And I'm assuming, based on what we've talked about, just what you've talked about on stage, you do want love. Of course you want love, right? And you deserve love.
Not at all.
You deserve love.
No, Ryan. I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm totally
just
not.
Smash that subscribe button.
I don't need that at all.
Smash that subscribe button and you can smash Sarah maybe later. Come on. But in my experience, it's not worth being with someone unless it's like a fuck yes. Like, that's been my experience. Like, at 35, like, look, you've got this, you've got so much going on, right? It might not always feel that way. Of course, it doesn't feel that way for, I'm sure that people who are much more rich and much more famous than us have the exact same moods that we have, right? But I think the happiest people are the ones who like look at where they are right now in life and say, yeah, I'm happy here.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean this is where I'm going to stay, but like, accepting like, look, this is where I'm at right now, right? Yeah. Short of winning the lottery tomorrow, it's not going to change tomorrow. Yeah. But like, what can I do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, whatever, to get to where I want to be, right?
Yes, truth.
If you want to make money doing comedy, right, you have a bunch of options, right? Yeah. You could keep trying to get Netflix to pay you, but you could also like start a show. Yeah. And just try and sell it out every month and like make $1,000 a month doing that, right? Like, whatever, right?
You are the fucking motherfucking driver, man. I think so many people don't realize how much control they have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And for me, it's just like, I can't sit around fucking complain about being single when I'm not putting effort into doing it.
And it is so dumb. Like, you have that joke about like, it happens when you're not looking for it, right? Like, that is
true for the most part.
That saying is moronic and dumb, because like people like us, like, again, I think we get along because we're similar, where like I wanted love, like I wanted it, I was ready for it, right? Yeah. But then I moved across the country and like found it in like a very unexpected place with a very unexpected person, right? And so, but if you're not open to that, if you're not willing to give it a shot, like women and men who like go on and like, oh, this person is like people on those apps who are like, you must be 6 feet or over. Like what a dumb thing. Like, really, that's your deal breaker? I guess if it is, that's fine. But like, that's dumb. What kind of love are you going to find with that sort of stupid, like,
very
expectation?
Very shallow.
Yeah. And again, do what you want. And, if you're 22, 23 and you're like, I only want to date guys over 6 feet, or I only want to fuck guys with abs. Like, yeah, you're young. Get it. Get hot. Do whatever you want. Yeah. Right. But like, if you're looking for love on there and you're not open to a lot of possibilities.
True.
Because by the time you get to this age, right, you have two options. You can date someone, a good substantial amount younger, or you get good at accepting other people's baggage, right? Because we all have it at this point. Like, you have it, I have it, we all do, right? And so, if you're a 40-year-old woman and you're like, I don't want to date a man who has kids or has been married, you're like, well,
that lowers the pool.
And that's fine. That's fine if you're okay with that. But like,
I'm finding myself slowly becoming more open to the idea of dating like a single dad.
Yeah.
It was something
You'd be a great stepmom. You'd be like, no, you'd be a great Great stepmom. Yeah. Like that's a TV show right there. Like you as the stepmom. Like, yeah.
That makes me happy.
You're welcome.
I do still want to experience pregnancy big time.
Yeah.
Like I think that it's one of the coolest fucking things ever. And I think it would be cool to experience.
Would you do it? I know you have a joke about it, but like, would you do it on your own?
Legit, yeah.
Like you do it like.
I can't afford it, but I would do it. If I could logistically make it happen, money-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Would you? Okay.
Okay, Sarah, edit that. Not for sure. You don't really know. You're giving yourself a year to figure it out. I'm giving myself a year to figure out if it's a phase or not.
We don't have to keep talking about this if you don't.
No, because it's legitimate like baby fever weirdness where it's like I don't know if this is a phase or not. So I need to wait a little bit before.
But would you like? I mean, you don't have to pay. Like you could just find somebody. I'm not volunteering. You could just, but like you could just find somebody, right? Like,
I don't even know how that would work. Is that like that actually might be better because then I would know what they look like.
Yeah. And like, but just like, and like you just fucking have sex with someone and like you put that money towards a lawyer and you make sure that there's a good contract.
Hey,
like,
who wants to be my baby daddy?
Look at that. You need to get some people outside of the comedian pool, probably first of all. Like, and they're all great. You guys are all great. I'm just saying, like, you might.
None of them would fuck me anyway. I've tried, Ryan.
What? Have you? No, shut up. Tell me about that later. I want to know. That's the one thing I've been trying to figure out more of. Is like who's fucked in this like scene. I got my thoughts, but I don't know who.
Oh, we'll talk after.
Yeah.
I'll just everyone knows that I've had crushes on comics in the scene and now they're like brothers to me.
Right.
So it feels like a weird.
Who is your crush?
I've had so many crushes.
You don't want to tell me? Not even one? Come on.
Listen, if all my comedian crushes did a comedy show.
Yeah.
It would be a bitchin' comedy show.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'll say.
Well, yeah, you're attracted to talent. Of course. Who isn't?
That's what I'll say.
Like,
so
no one wants to fuck the bad comedian. Like, let's be honest.
So, Jews, for people listening, I don't even fucking care at this point. I was talking to Kyle Carpenter about this. Yeah. Because he was like giving me some observations about me and like who I go for. And he was like, you really want to be a power couple with somebody. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. Yeah. You are so fucking right. Because the people I've liked are very fucking funny and talented.
Yeah.
And he even said, and I was kind of like, oh, thanks, Kyle. I'm actually kind of honored because, we always hear all the time, oh, Sarah's bad taste in men. It's like, no, I don't. They're very funny.
When you say we hear that all the time, who's we? Who's we?
I get, well,
it's talked about on TMZ or something like that.
Well, people tend to like, I feel like there is this weird, like, again, stigma on comics. Like there's this kind of thing of like, don't like a comic or don't date a comic.
Right.
It's this weird thing. And it's like, no, like the people I've liked is because like, number one, I've been around them.
Yeah. And
I think that they're either like talented, nice, funny, like all those things.
I think that's most culture though, right? Like, isn't it like, don't date a musician, don't date an actor, don't date a model, don't date like, I think it's like.
It's a common thing, right?
And I think it's because there's some belief, whether it's true or not, and I think it is often true, but where like ultimately if you want to pursue this, it has to come before anything else.
That's right.
Right? Like you have to work yourself to the bone to be the best comedian or whatever. So they're always going to choose the art over you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I use the term art very like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I totally see both sides of the argument, 1,000%. And I think that it would be complicated to date someone like in your same field because there would be a weird competition factor.
Yeah.
I think it would only be natural for that to kind of come into play.
Okay, but you're not going to tell me one of the people you have a crush on. Like, that's like if
tell you off mic.
Okay, fine. I bet I could guess. I bet you. You make a little list and let's see. We'll do Family Feud style. I'll guess and you tell me where.
It'll be a bitchin' comedy show with a great headliner.
I'll tell you who my comedy crush is after if you want.
We are driving the listeners insane right now.
That's in the bonus show. You've got to smash the subscribe button. Apply to Patreon.
But yes,
give Sarah money and we will release the bonus footage.
That's so funny. But do you want kids?
I used to really, really want kids.
Not anymore?
Not anymore. No. Like, I mean, maybe. But again, like, I'm just having so much fun in life. Yeah. And like, again, kids can be fun, right? Yeah. Like, but I just don't really see it in my future the way I used to.
That's so interesting. Yeah. That's fair.
And I think like, that's just like the life right now. And I mean, it's fun to spend your own money, right? Like you're talking earlier about like having money, right? Like it's fun to spend your own money and
you're
like
not wrong.
Yeah.
It's very appealing.
Like it's, I look at like what my parents had to sacrifice in their lives to raise us. And I think like, do I want to like sacrifice in that same way? Like, you know, I'm so glad they did. I'm so glad they did. I have amazing family, but I don't know that it's something that I'm like dying to sacrifice for myself.
You make a great fucking point because like so many, and especially like our generation or like our age group parents, like are the stay-at-home moms who like never had the careers they wanted, or like they gave up on their passions to like stay at home with the kids,
or they had to like, so when I was growing up, my parents separated and we lived with my mom for a lot of my childhood, and she had to work and do everything around the house, right? And so she was being stretched on all ends, and like so, you know, like it's not just like having to give up your you know, career, but it's like, oh my God, having to do both. Like what a nightmare.
So much responsibility.
And like an actual job, like an actual 8 to 4 job or 9 to 5 job or whatever, right? Like dropping us off at daycare. So the daycare would take us to school and then we'd go to her office after and on and on. And it's just like,
fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking lot, man.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking crazy.
Or I can take that money and go to Europe next year. Like that's the thing. Like that's.
And I do think it does. And I talk about this a lot on the podcast, but it does come down to, I guess, what you're happy with. Like if you've, and what family means to you, because like if you're with a partner and you're very happy with that partnership and that's your family, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think so much of me wanting to have a kid is just wanting a family.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that with somebody. I come home to an empty apartment.
Yeah.
So the idea of coming home to something that like is like like do you know what I mean? Like it's like it's totally mine and I'm responsible for it and it fucking loves me. Like it's so selfish, but I'm like, that seems appealing to me. I kind of
they have to be your friend. They have to be your friend,
and
right?
I would be raising a little friend.
Yeah.
Like I would be like teaching her. I'm just gonna assume it's a girl. Let's fucking hope it's a girl.
Well, and do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have 2 sisters.
And do they have kids?
No.
Do they want kids?
No.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So
my poor parents have no grandkids.
I have 2 brothers. One has 3 kids, and so I get that fill from them.
I've never had that fill.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I think it might change for you if you were to have. Some.
Or if I was maybe closer with friends with kids. A lot of my friends are popping them out now, but I'm not in the same city as them, so I'm not around them a lot.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Okay, that's the assumption.
Oh my God.
We really went for it.
Oh shit, it's 9:30 already. Wow.
I know,
This is great.
Do you see what I mean about
do.
having it be so easy to go long?
Yeah.
But it's you're a very fascinating person. So
thank you.
I mean, you might have to come back for another episode.
Oh my God.
Okay, now we get to hear. So this is the chance for you to get some stuff out.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
This is the rant.
Right. So, okay, well, no, this is like, my rant is just going to be, now I feel like I've talked so much, but whatever.
You're a guest on a podcast.
I know.
It's what you're supposed to do.
So like, my rant I want to talk about is like this idea of comedians in crisis, like in danger, right? Because I am new to comedy, but I have loved comedy my whole life. Like I watched David Letterman for like 15 years. I watched Saturday Night Live. Like when I was in high school, every Saturday night I would go to my friend Dave's house and we watched Saturday Night Live. Like that was what we did, right? Like every week. I was not that cool in high school. But so I've always loved comedy, right? But there seems to be this thing that has been missed where comedians need to work on their jokes somewhere. It needs to be in front of an audience. So when people complain about having to put their phones away, right? Like you go to these big shows now and you have to put your phone away. That's because those comedians are like trying jokes out and they're trying to get the wording right so that it gets a great laugh and doesn't ideally piss people off, right?
Exactly.
Like I don't think anyone is out there. I think there's probably some comedians, but they're not big names. They're just kind of people who like that shock factor, right?
Yeah.
But you know, and then you add in this idea of like, you know, these, I know it's kind of a controversial topic, but like these like safe space shows, for lack of a better word, right? And it's like, look, I think that like there's a place for a bunch of men to get up on stage and talk about how much women suck. Sure. There's an audience for that. There's audience who are going to go, right?
Yep.
There's also space for people who want to get up there and like, you know, tell jokes that are like, you know, maybe it's their first time and they're telling a joke, or maybe they're, you know, telling jokes that they're worried about people attacking them and they want to go to a space where they're not going to be in that situation, right? There's everything. And if you can sell a ticket to it, if you can sell it out, then you're doing something right. But this idea that like comedy is one thing and one thing only is very interesting to me. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's interesting to me, right? That comedy as an art form can't develop into being like, I'm not saying that every joke has to be punching up. Like we don't have to all punch up all the time. Like sometimes there's low hanging fruit, right? And so you take it because it's a funny punchline and it's the best thing you've got, right? But I think that jokes come from three places, right? There's ignorance, there's maliciousness, and then there's honesty, right? And so you can tell, you've seen enough comedy, you can tell when it's malicious. You can tell when the person gets up there and they just are mean person, right? I don't really know that many people like that. To be honest, I don't even know that I could name one, but I know I've seen it, right? And then there's jokes from ignorance where you're just like, you don't know enough about the subject to be making the joke that you're making, right? Like if you just look, let's sit down after and give me 5 minutes and I'll tell you like how to make that joke funnier and not to piss anyone off, right? And then hopefully you get a nice response. But if you go up to someone and you're like, you're homophobic, you're racist, you're this, you're that, then like, they're not going to listen.
Right.
I wouldn't listen if someone started calling me racist, like, or whatever. I don't tell jokes like that. So I don't think it's going to happen. But like, if you just start attacking somebody who's just gone up there and done what I think is a very vulnerable thing. I think that people think of comedy as just like, oh, it's just people making jokes. And like, yeah, it is, but it's vulnerable. It is vulnerable to be up there. And so if you just start attacking them, they're not going to want to listen. So, but if you sit down and you say, hey, look, take the trans thing, right? Like that's what's in the news. Yeah, I'm a trans person and I think I understand what you're trying to do with your joke, but like, I think if you just change this word or change this little thing here, like some comedians have started coming up to me and they want to tell a joke about pride or queerness and they ask me, right? And I'm like, I don't know that I'm the best person to ask because my bar is pretty like high to piss me off, like, for me to find something offensive if it's funny.
Right.
But they'll ask me, right? And just to do that one little thing, that one little like, hey, you know what? I'm going to just check in with someone about this, or a couple people is even better, then like, that'll help.
It's extra effort that is probably going to do that person like better in the long run to go that extra way to go like, am I saying this? Like, right?
Yeah.
And it's not should I say this? It's just, what can I do to make this better?
Yeah. So I have a joke that I've told twice and it's not gone great, but it went better the second time. And I want to work on it. But it's about a grinder hookup I had with a black guy and he wanted me to dominate him. And I got there and we started and I realized that everything I could say is like racist. Like it's going to come out racist. I don't say racist things, but like calling him like, whatever, right? Like names, not racist names, but like, you might call someone a slave if they're like, for the dig or whatever, right? So all of a sudden I got in my head, right? Where like I couldn't like, and when I told friends this story, they think it's a very funny story, but I just can't quite connect it on stage with allowing the audience that space to laugh. And I actually am still in touch with this guy. And I actually talked to him about it before I even told the joke. Yeah, of course. And he was like, yeah, that's hilarious. Like, cause I had told him afterwards, right? Like I told him afterwards, like, hey, I don't know, that might not have gone the way you did. And this is why X, Y, Z. And he thought it was really funny. Like we're still fucking Instagram friends or whatever. But yeah, so anyways, but I just haven't figured out how to unlock it. And I don't know that I care enough to unlock it.
Right.
But I don't want to tell it unless I know that I'm not going to upset anybody. That's right.
Fair.
Cause like I'm the idiot in that joke. Right? Like I'm the idiot, not him, not his race, not anything like that. But like, I'm the fool that like didn't think ahead. Right.
Like if you were to put that scene in a like TV show.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah.
People would get it. People would understand it.
Yeah.
People would understand your point of view. Yeah. But you're right. When it comes to stand up, it's this one way art that requires like your words and painting a certain picture, and that can be hard.
And there's only one way to find out if it's funny, and that's to tell it in front of an audience.
Which is terrifying.
Right? Which is terrifying. But I also think that like this idea of like, I should be able to say whatever I want and your feelings don't matter. I also think that's not like, if that's how you feel as a comic, that's cool, but then you have to be ready for the blowback, right? And so, again, the very obvious example right now is Dave Chappelle, right? Like because of everything. I haven't seen the special. I don't, not for any reason. I just don't watch a lot of stand-up comedy specials. Like I like to whatever, right? And I think if I was going to sit down and watch it, I'd want to do it in a headspace where I can be like, okay, I want to look at this through my own lens. Anyway, so he's going to keep telling those jokes. People are going to keep being pissed off, and he's going to keep getting a bunch of money. Right?
Exactly.
And I think that what we've gotten to as a society is that if I don't like it, no one can like it.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And that's not just them. Like that's not just like the like what I would call like very progressive left, woke. It's such a dumb. I know what but you know exactly what it is, right? And, the people on the right do that too, right? They do that too. We don't want this book in the school because of this. We don't want this because of that. We don't. So really what you're doing is you're putting your values onto the entire population. Whereas if I don't like something, I just don't watch it, right? And thank you. How old were you when Columbine happened? Sorry, I know that's a kind of a...
Oh my gosh.
Like, it would have been like 14?
What year was that?
90, 98, 99? 98?
So I would have been like 13, 14.
Yeah. So when...
Puberty age.
Do you know when that happened? And they were like, it's Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And it's this music. And it's video games. And it's this sort of stuff, right? Like, look, do I think that stuff contributed? Probably. You can't play a video game where you're shooting people for 15 hours a day
and have it not affect you.
And not have it not affect you. Now, I'm not saying everyone who plays the video games, obviously not, right? You can't listen to angry music all the time and not be an angry person, right? Like, but I don't think that that's why those boys did that.
No.
Right? And the same for me, and you might get hate for this, but like for me, do I think that people watch Dave Chappelle and then feel more emboldened to say transphobic things? Yeah, probably. But do I think that it's because of that? No, I don't think it's not the only reason. There's a shit ton of other reasons, right? So to put all that on someone, I think, and again, look, if I was him, I just wouldn't tell the jokes. Like, are they that good? I don't know. Like, are they that funny?
It's the idea of like picking your battles.
Yeah.
And clearly he picked his battle. Again, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
I just, I keep hearing things. Yeah. I think it's also this idea of like context and listening to the whole special, watching the whole special, and not just, it's like if someone took a clip of this podcast or context and posted it and there was no context around it, people would misconstrue it and like maybe start saying things about us and we wouldn't want that.
No, I wouldn't. But like,
so I think your point of like, if you were to watch it, you would want to sit and like really like give it a shot,
give it an honest listen.
That's the right way to go about it versus you look at a headline and then you go, oh, well, Dave Chappelle's transphobe now. Like,
and like, like, I don't know him. I don't know if he is. I don't know, if a trans person tells me, and look, first of all, I just want to really say, like, obviously I'm cis, I'm white, I'm like coming at this from my own, but that's all I can, right? Like, that's all I can.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like when I know trans people who don't give a fuck about Dave Chappelle. Yeah. And I know trans people who have made it like one of their new missions to take him down, right? I shouldn't say I know. I've seen trans people who don't give a fuck about. I've seen people, and so to me, that's like everything, right? Yeah. That's everything in life. No one group of people is a monolith. No one group of people wants things to be a certain way, and so to me, it's like you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. And I understand that, like, you're upset that he's getting paid to do this, but like, cancel your Netflix subscription then. Like, do you know what I mean?
Choose peace.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. I think that you could put the person angriest at Dave Chappelle in a room, a trans person angriest with Dave Chappelle in a room with Dave Chappelle, and they could probably agree on like 80% of stuff. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
85. So like, why are we like chipping away at someone, their last 15% that we don't like? Why can't we just accept the 85 that we do?
Oh, I love that.
Does that make sense? Yes. But isn't that's the way it should be with like everything?
But that just goes into the idea of like, we have so much more in common than we think we do. And the idea of like talking with people that we disagree with, or like talking to people that have different views than us to reach a common ground. And it's not going to be fully common, but there's going to be some commonalities there.
And that's the thing right now. Like, so not to get dark, but like, me, I follow politics a lot, specifically US politics. And like, they are like on the brink down there. Like they are, I look at what's going on down there and it feels very on the brink of not being there anymore in the same incarnation, right?
Civil war.
So we need to work with people that like, you know, if we're, look, the right, the left, if you're on the left, I assume like you would consider yourself left. I do too, right? We are arguing about whether or not someone who tweeted something 15 years ago should have a job or not anymore.
Right,
like, that's what we're fighting.
Yeah.
Right? And they got rid of abortion. So like we need to start working together and trying to bring people to our side and saying like, look, like I don't need to like everything about you. I don't need to love everything about you. But like, do you believe that like for down there, like Joe Biden won the election? Okay, great. At least we can agree on the facts. Do you believe that like the coronavirus was like a real thing? Yes. Okay, great. At least we can agree on the facts. Let's start there. Right? Because there's people out there now who like don't even believe in the reality that we're living in two different realities. There are neighbors living in two different realities. And that goes back to we have nothing in common anymore. We have nothing in common that like binds us. So
we're getting away from, for whatever reason, for whatever's going on, we are going further away from finding common ground with each other.
Like there's a lot of bad shit from if you lived in 1950, right? There's lots of bad things. I would not want to go back to it. But one of the things I was thinking about recently is like you and your neighbor read the same newspaper. You watched the same news. You watched the news for an hour a day, right? That's all you got. There wasn't 24 hours. You weren't getting like alerts on your phone at 11 o'clock about what was happening. Like if something really, really, really crazy happened, maybe your friend heard it on the radio and they'd tell you to turn on the radio. Like maybe.
Yeah.
Everyone watched whatever, like fucking Cheers or the Golden Girls. Everyone watched the same TV show. So you'd talk about that at work the next day. And so we have all these, like, we don't have that anymore.
Right.
You and I don't watch the same TV shows. There's so many options,
and
which is great, right?
Yeah. And algorithms feeding us things.
But the closest thing, you know, I was talking with someone about this. The closest thing was at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think Tiger King, which is so dumb, but like everybody watched that. Because we were all stuck inside and everyone was tweeting about it. And like that to me is like the closest thing of like, look, did everyone watch it? No. But like a lot of fucking people watch it. You could tell jokes about Tiger King and people would know exactly what you were talking about. Right. You couldn't talk about January 6th, like the insurrection, and everyone might not know what you're talking about. Like that's how different it is.
So wild.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is a fucking insane time.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with you on the finding that middle between it's been talked about a lot, like just the idea of like you can say whatever you want and you can't say anything. Like there is that middle ground. And I hope this won't offend anybody, but I really do think people who are using all their time and energy to be the person who's like making it their mission to take Dave Chappelle down, that kind of person, is very hurt in their life.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of sympathize with them in a weird way.
For sure.
Because I go, something's going on there deeper that is not healed yet.
Yeah.
As cheesy and self-helpy as that sounds.
And I would not say that like everybody is entitled to their own feelings, their own thoughts, their own boundaries of what they're comfortable with and what they're not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I would never say to like a trans person, like your feelings about Dave Chappelle aren't valid.
Exactly.
Right? Why? Like, of course not.
But you might ask for more information.
I might say like, look, can you help me understand a little bit? I mean, again, it's I don't want to make that the issue because you could put anything in there. I mean, like, look, there are straight white men who come to comedy shows and get angry when people make fun of them for being straight white men, right? Like you could put any group in there, right? Yeah. I read a really interesting article. I forget the guy's name, but he was the first Black cast member on Saturday Night Live. And they were asking him questions about this sort of thing. And he's like, the thing is that you can't go to a comedy show, laugh at all the jokes about everybody else, but then get mad when the joke's about you. And I thought that was such a fascinating take on it from someone who the first Black Saturday Night Live cast member would have had to probably deal with a lot of crazy shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that to me is like, if you don't like it, get up and walk out. By all means, ask for your money back, right? Like if you're not having a good time, do whatever you need to do. You've been at shows where people just get up and start yelling at the comedian, right? I mean, don't fucking come and hit us, and ideally don't yell at us, right? But
ideally. Totally.
I'm not trying to like promote that sort of behavior, but like, you know, you can't take what some people like away just because you don't like it.
That's right.
Right? Like if that was the case, like you'd all love musicals because that's all I would have on TV all the fucking time, right?
There's usually no joke that I laugh harder at than the ones that are about dumb white girl astrology bullshit.
Right, yeah.
Because I'm like, that's me. You're making fun of me and you're right. And it's funny.
Do you like the Big Bang Theory, Sarah?
No.
No, me either. I fucking hate it. I think it's a dumbass show.
People can watch it.
People love it. People love it. And you know what? Some of the stuff I don't find it offensive, but like, I'm like, this is very sophomoric. This is very like juvenile, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Look, Jackass just did another movie, for crying out loud. Like, you know, have at her. It's not for me.
So
I don't want to give them my money. And I think, you know,
there's
bigger
fish to fry
right now in the world. And I just really want to be working together with people versus like, you know, finding ways to like pull us apart. Which again, like, is not, who knows? Maybe that's nothing. Maybe you're going to have a flood of people in your comments here being angry that like I have the stance I do.
It's cute that you think I get comments. That's the thing that I find so funny about people coming on the show. They're like, always so worried. I'm like, I don't even know if most people probably listen to 50% of an episode. You know, like they might not even be hearing it at this point.
I think, and from the comedian side, to piss them off a little bit more.
Oh yeah, like, let's get into it.
Look, you can say well, first of all, Canada doesn't have free speech. So we need to stop saying that we have free speech because we don't have free speech in Canada. We have freedom of expression, which is different than free speech.
What's the difference?
Well, in America, you can say hate crime things and not like, that's my understanding of it. Look, there's probably a lawyer maybe who knows better, but whereas here you can't say hate crime. Like, you know, you could in the States, I believe you could say like, you know, we don't want X group in our country anymore. Whereas here, I think if you say that, you can be charged.
Oh, okay.
Right? So like we don't
freedom
exactly
of
have,
expression.
Okay. It's not like you can't just say anything.
Okay.
But along with that privilege of being able to say just about anything also comes maybe the fact that like there's going to be some consequences for that.
Yeah.
Like if I get up on stage and like, you know, tell an audience member they're ugly, like I might have to get punched in the face by their boyfriend later. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's a risk I take. I shouldn't have to, but like,
but you better love that joke enough to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. If you love a joke and it's getting that sort of response, then by all means keep telling it.
And I will say it's a weird thing with comedy too, because I do feel like there's this weird thing about like niche styles and how I will see some people do a joke and have it fall flat for most crowds, but then with a certain crowd, it will kill. And it's just interesting to me because I go, to be that niche of a style and stick with it is a very authentic thing to do.
Yeah.
Like to just go, this is just my style and I'm sticking to my guns. I do think it paves a hard road for you as a comedian because you won't be as versatile.
Do you think that anything can be funny?
No.
No? See, I do.
Well,
I do. I think.
I mean, I don't.
Okay, let me clarify. Can anything be funny in the right hands?
Potentially.
Yeah. Like I think that like, look, do you know The Producers, the movie The Producers, the musical Producers? So it's a Mel Brooks movie and it's about these guys, they're putting on a show. They try to put on the worst show ever because if they close on opening night, they can take all the money.
Oh,
right? So
okay.
They decided to put on a show called Springtime for Hitler, which is like, you know, this show about like Hitler being like, you know, just a jaunty whatever. And it's terrible. The audience ends up loving it because they think it's satire, right? But the point is that like Mel Brooks, who's Jewish, wrote that and found the funny in Hitler.
Yep.
Right. And so I think anything can be funny in the right hands. Now, you know, that doesn't mean that I would want to do it. Like, why would I want to, you know, waste all my time so that I could say a specific word on stage or say a specific whatever? Like, why waste all that time?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is it so important to you to say that word or say that joke? Like, you know, if it's not, but again, it goes back to what we talked about like way before, which is, look, if I tell a joke and it doesn't work, if I don't love that joke, I'll never tell it again.
Yeah.
Why would I take that risk?
It's actually a really good sign of what jokes you are loving or not loving. Mm-hmm. If you do want to go, oh, I'm going to give her another chance. Yep. Or I'm going to give her a third chance, fourth chance, fifth chance. Clearly, there's something in that joke that you love that you feel like you want to keep doing.
Yeah.
The jokes that you throw out there and you're like, you don't really care about and it doesn't do well. It's like, oh, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But,
it's interesting.
You know, this idea of being canceled is so dumb too, to me. Like, I just think it's not dumb, but again, an example, Louis C.K., right? Like, look, he was pulling his dick out in front of women. He should have probably taken a little break to contemplate that, right? Like, I don't think
he did.
And he did.
Yep.
And now he's back. And if people want to buy tickets to his show, fucking have at her, right? Like, you want to go protest outside of his show, hold a sign, have at her, right? Like, this is the world we live in, right? We're not all going to agree, right? But I agree that you have the right to do what you want to do, and I have the right to enjoy what I want to enjoy to a point, right?
Yes,
Anyway, that's my rant.
It's a good rant. Ding that bell. No one's ever really canceled.
Yeah.
That's I mean,
except for the ones who look, I don't know that I really liked this actor. I don't know that I ever want to see a Kevin Spacey movie again, right? Like, he always was icky in his roles. But
someone's watching it somewhere.
But someone will watch
and
it.
Maybe they don't know.
Yeah.
And he's getting royalties from, or whatever, it's like.
But he's got more money than, people wanting to cancel J.K. Rowling. And I joke about this, right? Where I'm like, look, like she's going to have more money than she's ever going to know what to do with in her life. If you want to go to Harry Potter World and buy a broom, like, who cares? Like,
it's going to be a drop in the bucket. It's not going to
affect her, right?
It's a drop in the bucket.
Let's say they canceled her enough that they decided to shut everything Harry Potter related. That's a lot of jobs for people that that's not going to affect her. Again, she's going to have money for the rest of her life, right?
Yeah.
So, you don't want to read it anymore? Don't read it. Make fun of it. Do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
it does come down to that. Can you separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
Idea. And Whitney Cummings has a fabulous joke in her new Netflix special about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
And how people canceled R. Kelly because obviously he's a fucking awful human being and shit. But how she low-key still loves Ignition.
This is it's so funny. I've talked about that. Jared Carmichael talks about that too, right?
Yeah.
I think in one of his where it's you're like, look, that song is a bop, and I'm gonna dance to it if it comes on, but I'm gonna be like, this guy fucking sucks while I do it, right? But who cares, right? Like another example is Michael Jackson, where you're like, he's dead, guys, he's dead. None of his money, what he did was awful, but he's dead. So it doesn't. If I listen to his album on Spotify, the money's going to his kids, which I'm pretty sure didn't have anything to do with all that. Good point. It is what it is, right? And again, if you don't want to, cool. There's nothing. If you're at my house and I play it and it bothers you, tell me. I'll turn it off if it bothers you that much. I don't.
But you shouldn't be judged for that.
But you don't want to be my friend because I like Ignition Remix. Then that says I guess I'm not a good person if that small of a thing bothers you so much that you don't want to be my friend.
I guess the friendship didn't mean a high amount.
Yeah.
If it ended over that,
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking wild world we live in.
Yeah. It is.
I do think that this attitude is an age thing.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that my age 35, I feel like it was the last, when I think about body positivity and stuff, I still hate myself in a bathing suit.
Right. Yeah.
I do. And it's still very much so ingrained in me to be thin.
Right.
I still want to be thin. I fucking love the body positivity movement. I'm like, you go, girl.
Right.
Yes. I'm still going to fucking try to be in shape.
Yeah.
And I really do think that that's an ingrained thing in my generation.
Yeah.
But the younger kids growing up now, the shit they're exposed to, they're on self-help TikTok.
Yeah.
And they're exposed to overweight models. And it seems better, to be honest.
Yeah.
It seems like a better time. More open.
To be young, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in some ways. I mean, they're
smarter than I was at that age.
But there's no I find there's no innocence anymore because you know everything.
That's very true.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't know everything, but you have everything at your fingertips. I think that the stories we have about being young are going to be the last of those sorts of stories. It's not the kids nowadays. I hate this whole thing of kids are on their phones all the time. I'm
kids
know who else is on their phone all the time? Yes. Adults. So fuck off.
I'm going to be right there and phone rehab with you. Yeah. With
you're
these
just
20-year-olds.
You're just jealous. Not you, but when my parents say you guys are always on your phones, I'm you're just jealous because no one's messaging you. You don't have anyone to interact with. I have friends who I'm texting with, right?
That's so true.
But if you were on your phone, you wouldn't care. You're just noticing because I'm on mine.
Very true.
But no, I think kids are lucky in so many more ways now. But I mean,
But it's also harder in so many ways too.
Yeah.
It's a whole other whole other thing.
Like you would have, I'm just going to assume, because I know I would have, like, would you have sent nudes as a teenager?
No.
No, you wouldn't have.
First nude I sent.
No, would you have though? Like if you were a teenager now.
Oh, like if I, that's interesting. Probably.
Yeah, me too.
Probably.
But that's like child pornography. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that is something that I wouldn't have thought about as a consequence as a kid. But like these kids are like sending these things and like, again, like whatever. It's too crazy. It's too much.
Yeah, that is insane. Yeah, because when I think about like I lost my virginity at 17.
Right.
Just before I was 18.
Yeah.
But like when I was starting to do that thing, I was one of the first in my friend groups to do it.
Right.
And I was like looking around in my class and like no one was really doing much.
Yeah.
But now it's like, Christ, I don't even want to know how young it starts now.
I mean,
it starts young.
Also, though, maybe it doesn't because, like, like they can just watch it and whatever, right? Like they can just play with them. I don't know, whatever they do. Like we shouldn't talk about this too much. Like, no. Anyway,
subject change.
Yeah, subject change. But no, I think like there are so many more pitfalls for them now. But you know what's going to be great is they're all going to be like, when they're in their 30s and stuff, they're going to be applying for jobs, and all of them will have nudes that have been leaked somewhere, and like so we can just get over that element of it.
It'll
right?
be
like,
over.
We just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
like everyone has taken that. Like, do I want like someone in 30 years who like never sent a sext, or like I don't want that person representing me. You're boring. You're boring, and you're a boring person. You have no life experience.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
All of these things equalize us.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
love it.
Exactly.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah.
Deepest question of the podcast.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? Oh my God. What isn't?
What's your thing that you're struggling with right now, or maybe working on?
I'm working on not taking things so personally. I take things personally a lot. Like if someone doesn't text me back, or if someone like cancels on me, I take it personally. And I think that's because moving here to Halifax has like changed my life in so many ways. And a big one is that I have like an amazing group of people around me that started with that sort of like poly or kink lifestyle people, and then now has expanded to like a bunch of amazing comedians that I know, like who I genuinely like as people too. And then like, I've gotten involved with some drag performers and stuff like that. And so I just keep like cracking open these new friend groups and new possibilities for friendships. And so that's all really new for me, because like back home I had friends, of course, like, but like it wasn't in the same way. And so I think the taking it personally thing I've always had a thing with, but I think it's heightened now that like I really, really like all these people, and I really don't want to like, I'm worried, oh my gosh, if I piss someone off, are they not going to tell me? Are they just going to start ignoring me or not wanting to hang out? Right. Like I'm always worried. So look, we know those people in our lives that like people kind of tolerate. They're not really like people that they like, but they're kind of like around. And so we put up with them. Right. Yeah. My biggest fear is that I'm one of those people.
Oh my God.
Because I see how people interact with those people, and then they walk away and everyone's like, oh my God, they're or whatever it is. Right. And like, and again, like, look, I don't think those people should be rude to those people either. Right.
No.
But I kind of have a philosophy where I try my best to, I mean, obviously I talk shade about people, right? But I try to like not say anything that like if asked, I wouldn't, like if they were like, I heard you said this about me, I would be honest. I wouldn't lie about it. And I would say like, look, this is why. Like, this is why I feel that way about you.
You could own it.
Like I don't try to say things that I don't mean. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go tell them, because sometimes these aren't the nicest of things.
Yeah.
Right. But if I'm like around someone, again, it goes back to that thing. I like them more than I don't. Right. Like I might not like everything about them, but like I like enough that I don't mind them sitting at a table with me or like sharing space. Right.
Yes.
Because if I didn't like someone, if I thought someone was like just a genuinely big piece of shit, I wouldn't want to be around them. Now, I don't even have like anyone like that in my life, but let's say there was like a comedian in town that like, just because it's an easy thing that like I just didn't want to interact with, I would just be like, I don't want to do shows with them, so I'm going to just pick and choose what I do. Because
going back to you're in control. You can choose these things.
Absolutely. And again, there's no one like that for me at all. But I just think like, why why would I put myself through that? It's not going to be fun for me. Even if it was a situation where like everyone liked me and no one liked them, like even still, I'm like, no, you want to do it, do it. Like, I just don't need to be on the same stage. And I don't, to be honest, right now in my life with people that I see and interact with, I can't even think of one person in my life that I couldn't be in a room with. And like, I would just ignore them. Like if I don't like them, I would just ignore them. Right? Like it's like
you got this.
Yeah.
It's not like this crazy
And if you want to have a conversation, if I've pissed you off, if I've hurt you, and God, that sucks. That sucks hurting people. I've hurt people, of course, really, really badly in my life. And if they want to sit down and have a conversation about it, if they want to be angry about it, if they want to yell at me about it, like, fine, let's do that. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. Because like, you obviously are so upset that it's ruining your life, or it's really fucking up your life.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I hate if I would be the responsible one for something like that. So yeah. But so anyways, my problem is that I'm worried that I take things too personally, and I worry too much that people don't like me, even though I know that I'm a likable person. So I give much less thought to it now than I used to.
Have you ever thought about what it would take for you to not feel that way?
It's impossible.
What are the signs what are the signs in a friendship that reassure you? What does it take for someone as a friend to let you know that like you're in and you're part of this?
Well, the thing is that like I feel in. Like I feel in with my friend groups. I feel in, like, I think, in general in comedy, I'm well liked. People might not like my jokes, but I don't think people like think I'm a bad person or something like that. I hope. If they do, like, please come and tell me. Like, I'd like to know why.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it ever goes away. Like, I think our insecurities are there. Like, it's built into the program, right? Like, it's about learning how to cope with them, right? So I'll tell you this. So a year and a half ago, I got high one night with Sam, and this is the only bad experience I've ever had high. But it was just a night off. We didn't have anything to do. We wanted to invite some friends over. One or two friends came over, and like, I messaged 30 other friends and did not hear from anybody. And I was convinced in my mind that all of these people were at a party without me. Like, convinced that not just a party, but like a party where they were like, we're not inviting Ryan, and we're going to talk about Ryan at this party and why we hate him. Like, this is how bad it was.
I feel that though.
And like, that's dumb, because if someone went through all that work, they disliked me that much, like,
they secretly love you.
Yeah. I'm like, you are obsessed with me, sweetie. Like, what the fuck, right? Like,
it's a weird narcissistic thing.
That's the thing. Like, when I hear people shit talk the same person all the time, I'm like, why are you obsessed with this? But like, it is so much easier to just not even think about them. Now, again, there are people who do awful things, and there's trauma there, and you need to, like, you have that frustration and anger with them. But if it's just like, oh, I don't like this person because they used to date this person or what, like, who cares? Like,
Yep. The opposite, like, what is it? Is like indifference is like hate and love are like on the same level.
Yeah.
But like indifference is when you really don't care about someone. Like, when you really don't care, you're indifferent. You don't react. Like, you're just like you said, you're in the same room. You don't hang out. You don't talk.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. You find different people to be around, but like, don't take yourself out of a space because you can't, be an adult. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I think, like, again, not that you're an adult and all of a sudden you have this, like, but when I think about being an adult, like, and I don't even think of myself as an adult really, like, but I think about like the traits that an adult has. And one of them is that ability to like, just let it go.
To not react.
Yeah. Let it go.
In this like dramatic way. Because I do think, I've said many times, I do think, again, those people are very hurt, and they're also probably addicted to their own stress, unfortunately. Yeah. Whatever chemical they have when they're in that dramatic state, it is a weird comfort for them. And that's their comfort zone.
It is so much easier. It is so much easier, in my opinion, to let that stuff go.
Right?
Like, because when you're holding on to it, think about that. Like it hunches you over. You see people who like all the time, how are you doing? Oh, I'm having the worst day. I'm having the worst day. Every single time. Yeah. And it's like, I have this friend. I love her to pieces. She's amazing. She has had a hard go in life. Like she just has had it hard. And I asked her one time, I said, when was the last time you were happy? And she was like, I don't remember. And like, this is a friend that like sometimes I am a little harsh with because I think she needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I think that says a lot about you. I don't think that's the world. I think like if you can't remember, because I said to her, I said, hey, we did this like 6 months ago, the last time I saw you. Like, wasn't that fun? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, then that was the last time. And if you can't look back at a year and not find one moment in that year that you had a good time, like, great. Maybe you only had one, maybe only one day, but you know what? Next year, try for two. It's just, it's,
gosh,
you know, you're doubling it.
Right.
Right.
So right.
But like,
that's wild.
Are you just saying that because it's a podcast?
No, I have low key chills because you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this weird romanticization of depression now.
Yes, I would agree with that.
It's not cool to be happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you can still be depressed and have fun at the fair.
Yeah. So I'll share mine. I'll share mine because I don't talk about it on stage. But I have PTSD, I have post-traumatic stress from some stuff. Yeah, from some stuff I went through back, you know, whatever before. And I don't talk about it because for me, I've processed it, right? I've processed it. Now, I have no problem. When comedians are vulnerable like that up there, fucking amazing. And if they sharing it from a place of being, working through it or even having worked through it,
yeah,
that's great.
Or even being in it and they're making fun of it or something. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to, like, it's past, right? Like I'm done with it and I want to like move forward. And, but you know, I think you're right. There is this like over romanticization of like, you know,
I'm sad.
And I think, you
always
know,
sad.
yeah, I think that like where that comes from is that we don't actually deal with it properly as a society. We don't actually give people the help they need. Like therapy should be free for everybody.
Yeah.
It should be like in high school, how you had a high school counselor. Like, yeah, you might have to make like an appointment a month before and you can only see them once a month, but like therapy should be free. I think everyone should have access to therapy.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course.
We might not have as many comedians, but I think everyone should have access to therapy.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that to me is like, I love therapy.
I would love it too if I was in it. I think I would fucking eat it up. I would probably go in there with a notebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's invaluable.
Yeah.
You know?
It really is.
And what you were saying about the happiness thing, it's interesting to me because when people go through grief, because I went through it big time in the pandemic, losing a friend on March,
of course,
18th, 2020. Like it's the worst pain you'll ever feel. Like it's like you're like, oh, nothing can get better. And what I always tell people who are grieving, it's like cheesy as fuck, but it's just like find tiny moments of joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiny. And I would say the same for anyone who's depressed too. Little tiny things. If you go for a walk, get an ice cream.
Yeah.
Go get a piece of pizza.
Yep.
The tiniest, and then be grateful for those tiny moments. Because like you said, maybe that person, when you asked that question, was thinking of happiness in a whole other way.
Yeah.
Like maybe they had this grand idea of what being happy is, when really being happy could be as simple as like enjoying an ice cream cone.
Yeah. Have you heard
watching the
like
sunset.
people use this phrase like toxic positivity?
Yeah. Fucking hate. I also hate toxic.
Well, no. So here's the funny thing though about it. To me, like, you know, I have this joke 100% straight, right? Like to me, I'm like, what is like toxic positivity is only when it's too much positivity for you. Right? Like, I don't love people who are happy all the time. I think that's weird. 100%, it's fucking weird. Right? But like, I think I just think the idea of like, you know, I get it. If you don't want to hear happiness right now, that's cool. You want to be miserable? It's no problem. I like to be miserable sometimes too. I like to sit home and be miserable in my fucking house and like eat bad and drink shit and like be awful to myself. But no one is going to come magically to my door and be like, hey, now it's time for you to finish this and move on with your life, right? Like you have to do that for yourself. Yeah. You have to do that and take as much time as you want. But I find like for me, I'm like, no, you know, I I don't know. If I have a bad night, I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to do nothing. But then the next day I've got to get back at it. Right.
It's and again, you can yourself accountable.
You can take a week, you can take a month, you can take however much time you need, but you're the only one who's going to be able to really flick that switch. It's like addiction, right? It's like addiction. You have to admit it to yourself before you're possibly going to be able to admit it to anybody else.
So true.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about toxic positivity, it's interesting because I see it as like, so like Andrea Avery was recently on the show.
Yeah.
And like when it
love her.
Right?
Love
She's
her.
amazing.
Yeah.
And when it got to the rant segment, she was like, I don't like rants. They're pointless. I'm a very happy, positive. And I was like, I don't see her as someone who's toxically positive.
Absolutely.
I see toxic positivity as the people who are like, you know, you just gotta love your body. Mm-hmm. You just gotta think positively.
Right. Well, yeah, this
To me-
manifestation or whatever, right? Like, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, like to me, that's the bullshit. Like I like people who are like, no, like be in it, feel it, feel the awfulness, and then get up, like you said, get up the next day and get on with your life. But it's like, it's the people who ignore that part that I can't get down with.
Yeah.
You can't just put like this like Instagram filter on pain.
Yeah.
You need to experience the fucking pain.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like for you. But yeah, we all have fucking control, but I really do think you gotta sit in it sometimes, and the people who just say inspirational quotes, and
or it'll get better soon, or you'll feel bad. Like,
just meditate.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like no, just do like get up and do one dish.
Yeah,
there you did
and
something.
That's the thing too. Like, I find as someone who like has a lot of, for whatever reason, people love to tell me things, right? Like I'm a gossip, so I don't know why you want to tell me these things, but like people tell me things, and they tell me when they're sad and they tell me when they're hurt. And I'll often say to them like, look, what do you want from me in this moment? Because like, do you want tough love? Do you want me to just be like, yeah, that person's a piece of shit? Like, what do you want? Because like my default is like tough love.
I love
like,
that.
My default is like, look, you want to know why this isn't happening? XYZ. In my opinion, XYZ. Like, if you want to change those, great. You don't have to.
Have you gotten in trouble for tough love?
Yeah, of course.
I have too. So I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And it's strange because I don't always take tough love well, but I love giving it.
Right.
But I've lost friends over being a little too honest. Or being a little like just saying it like it is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you said that you asked them. It's a good question to ask. Like, are you ready to receive this tough love?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give it to you.
Do you know what another good question is, though? I think is, like, I like to ask people, like, when was the last time you were wrong about something? Because, like, I think that's, like,
such a good question.
good, right? Because, like, when was the last time? Because, like, if you're someone like, oh, I can't think of it. I'm like, that's fucked up. Like,
that should be a new segment on this show.
Do it.
Honestly, what's wrong with you? And when's the last time you were wrong? Because that is such a good question, because that is asking, when did you learn something?
When did you learn something?
God, the amount of times I've been wrong in my life.
Yeah.
I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong.
And aren't we always trying, like, again, when I talked about like that adult thing, right? Like what I consider an adult, I feel the same about like living. Right.
Yeah.
Like I want to keep learning. Now, look, I'm pretty happy with who I am. I haven't always been this way. I've been a shitty person. I've been a bad person at times. And like those things have made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So like, I always feel like grateful for that. That idea of like, I don't have any regrets, I think is a weird thing because like, of course I regret decisions that have hurt people.
Yeah.
But like those things have made me a person that I really like. And
You've evolved.
I've evolved. I hope, like maybe not, maybe I haven't, but like people who have known me for 20 years do say that.
Yeah.
Like when we went back to BC, everyone was like, you just seem so much happier. You just seem so much happier. And like a huge part of that is Sam. Of course, I'm a person, I think you are too. Like I am I prefer to be with someone. I'm a better person when I have someone else in my life that I can care about and who can care about me, right? I don't need it, but I'm a better person with it, right? And so Sam's a huge part of that, but also just getting to a point with myself of like acceptance of who I am and accepting like this is where I'm at in life and like everything can change. Look at the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Everything can change, but I'll say one more thing about the pandemic is I don't know if you have had this experience, but I find there's people who went into the pandemic one way and are coming out angrier. I know people who are mad about the lockdown, mad about what happened with their jobs. I feel for them. I really, really do. There's people who went into the pandemic and have come out almost like it was a coma, like have not changed, are the exact same person they were that went in, right? Whatever. But there's other people who like really are like fascinating now. Like more like and like really like have come out like look, I went into the pandemic having never done stand-up comedy, and I'm coming out of the pandemic on a comedy podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we get to choose what we do with our lives, and it's all we have is like, it's so cheesy. Sorry, I'm high.
No,
this is how I get.
No,
but like, this is all we have. We were talked about heaven, right?
We only have one
Who
life.
the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows if there's a heaven? You might as well live it now, right? So when I see people like, so we buy, this is a small, we buy like really nice ice cream bars, like expensive Haagen-Dazs ice cream, right? And someone was over the other day, and I offered them one, and they're like, oh, you have the really nice ones, right? And like, this goes back to the money thing, right? Where like, I think we have nice things, and so people, but I'm like, no, like if I'm going to buy them, yeah, I could buy more of them for cheaper, but they don't taste as good. So like, why
quality
not?
over quantity.
Yeah, why not like have like that quality? Why not buy the nice thing? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if, I don't know.
Yeah, no one does.
Right. And so it's not that you just say fuck it and like live your life. Obviously, I'm not going to go rob like a store because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm going to have the nice ice cream.
Yeah.
Like
small moments of joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Small little treat yourself things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to Toronto next month, and I think we're going to get tickets to see Elton John, and they're going to be fucking expensive. But like, I don't go to concerts. I'm not a really big music person, but I love Elton John. Obviously.
YOLO. You only live once. We need
this
to.
is the thing.
We need to.
Don't we?
We have to bring that back.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cheesy.
But there is also this weird thing of like, I totally agree with that. But I'm also just like, I still have a budget. You know?
No, but of course, but like within, of course. Like, I would rather be going to London for like 2 months, right? Like, of course. But like, whatever you can do within your budget.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do now
Yeah.
before we get to unpopular opinion and this podcast.
Yeah. Is anyone even still listening?
I don't care that it's long. This is great.
Okay.
I've been really enjoying myself.
Listen to it when you're sober.
I say this
while you're sober.
every time I'm not doing a podcast. I'm like, they got to be shorter.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in a podcast, I'm like, I love this. Let's keep going. Because today is, we're going to get into some white girl bullshit now.
Okay, yeah.
Today is the Lionsgate portal,
Right.
August 8th. It's the luckiest day of the year.
Today's the luckiest day of the year.
So it's all about manifesting abundance into your life. So when I want you to describe out loud to me what your dream life is, what it looks like.
Oh, okay. So before I do that though, question, because I'm not an astrology person. So it's the Lionsgate portal.
It has something to do with stars
It's the
aligning.
luckiest day of the year. Does that mean that every other day before this, like, is it like the longest day of the year?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like every day leading up, and now it's going to start getting shitty again?
It's over a like period of time.
Okay.
And like today it's like at its height or whatever, because I think it's going to close soon. It has something to do with Leo and stars aligning in a certain way. And is it Leo? Hang on a second. What is the Lionsgate? Listen.
No, I love it. I love it.
TikTok tells me.
Can I tell you something?
And I listen.
This is what I feel about women who like astrology, is that
We
like,
don't know everything.
You don't know anything about it. You like
we
love the
buy it.
idea, and like, yeah, you're like,
And then we get called out. We're like, oh, no. Lionsgate Portal is an event that gives people the chance to fulfill their dreams. No big deal.
look, and I'm here. I'm fulfilling my dream.
It just says every year on August 8th, an astrological event called Lionsgate Portal opens in the sky. The celestial occurrence has started gaining traction in recent years, but according to astrologers, it's centuries old. But what is it exactly? What is it?
I mean, I get the idea. I was just being dumb.
It has something to do with Leo and being in line with a certain planet.
Right.
And it's like a direct alignment that apparently, and I'll say apparently with everything because I don't take this as fact, everybody. It's just something that makes me feel good, okay?
Yeah.
It's supposed to like increase, like if you manifest today, it's like a strong time to do it. So it's all about, and from what I've read up about it, there's 1,000 affirmations you can do, but really it's like you envision your life, your dream life, like you already have it, and you act
as though you have it.
Like you already have it. And a trick people say is to actually say, rather than saying, I have a 2-bedroom apartment, you say, I don't want a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh.
Because you already have it.
Oh, I see.
So you're actually acting as if you already have the life.
So you say these things. You're like, I don't want a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't want a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
I don't want a 2.
And they even say you can like write it places because your mind will see it, and
Right.
the act of seeing it alone will trigger it. But what do you see as your dream life?
Okay. So first of all, like if like nothing mattered, like nothing mattered at all.
Nothing mattered.
Like, you know, talent, luck, whatever. Like the dream, I would love to have my own talk show. That I think would be so fun. Like I love talking to people.
Like a late night talk show?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'd even like be happy with an Oprah one. I don't mind doing serious topics, right?
Oh,
like
love that for you.
I'm good with either. But like I think Oprah was the best, right? Because she could have like celebrities and then she could talk like really deep. That's the dream, right?
Yes, that would be amazing.
But yeah, I mean, if we're just talking like realistically, like I'm not going to tell myself I don't want a talk show because I already have one.
A
right?
vision.
Like, yeah. Okay, so this is dumb, but my life as it stands, I have never been this happy.
That's so nice.
Like I often think, because I'm like fucked up. This is what I'm fucked up about. I often think that like if I died in my sleep tonight, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, of course I want to keep living. Of course I'm having the best time of my life right now. But if it all ended tomorrow, that's okay.
It's a good feeling.
Like I'm happy with what I've left here.
Yeah.
But you know, I love being in Halifax. I love the idea of being able to like take 2 or 3 trips a year, like real trips, like not just to Toronto or whatever, like Europe or whatever. I love the idea of like continuing to do comedy. It has been amazing. And I love like the polyamorous lifestyle that Sam and I have created with ourselves. Like I don't know if you've experienced this, but like recently we were in a room with 6 friends and we were just sitting around chatting and I was high. So I said something dumb, but like I said, if you guys are the people that like I'm going to be here at the end of the world with, like I'm cool. Aww. Like this is a good group of people. Like we all nice. Like, you know, but I look at everybody like even tangentially, right? Like I think you're great. I love having you in my life. Like
thanks, Ryan.
But like I love going to a show and seeing
people I like.
Yeah. You know? And so it's just easier. Look, if I wanted to, could I find ways to dislike a lot of the people in my life? Of course. Of course. If I wanted to find reasons to dislike people, it would be easy to find. We're all kind of inherently dislikable, right?
Yeah.
Myself included.
Yeah.
But like, again, I can look at things to dislike about myself or I can look at things to like about myself, right? And it's the same with everybody else. And I just think like it's so cheesy, it's so dumb. I roll my eyes in my head when I say stuff like that, but like it is just easier. Yeah. It's just easier.
It's more peaceful.
Yeah. You know, to accept. I mean, yeah, I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic when I was growing up. So he got sober when I was 10. And I spent a lot of time in AA meetings. So they do the serenity prayer, right? Just like accept the things you cannot change, and to know what things you can change and what things you can't, right? We cannot stop Dave Chappelle from telling those jokes. I don't want to, but no one can. No one can, right? He's going to find spots to do it. He's rich enough. He's funny enough people like him that he's going to find places to do that. You're never going to get rid of Dave Chappelle, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can accept that,
yes,
then you can look for the things that you can change and like, and that's so
your
much,
reaction
to it.
What you do.
You know what's great?
With your time.
You know what's great? Things I don't know anything about. It's great.
Yeah.
The less I know about certain things, the less I have to worry about them.
Also, just the act of saying that you've done what you can do. Yeah. Like I have a coworker that is constantly stressed out about people not emailing him back.
Yeah.
And I just go, there's literally nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You've done your part and you can't physically make these people get back to you. You can only fulfill your end of the duty.
Yeah.
And you've done that. So there was 0 point to be stressed.
Yeah. So, you know, like there's this controversy with John Mulaney, right? Where like he had Dave Chappelle on his stage and now people think like by John Mulaney having Dave Chappelle on a stage with him so there's people who don't want to go see a show anymore for that. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
They're going to miss a great show.
They're going to miss a great show. And like, there's people who love John Mulaney. But because of tangentially how he gave Dave Chappelle a space to be, even though John Mulaney didn't, I think, you know, if anything, Dave Chappelle was probably doing John Mulaney a favor in that situation. Yeah. Right. But like, he gave him a space and now people don't want to go see his show. So that's like, not just like John Mulaney never said anything. He co-signed by having him there. If that's your outlook, that's fine. But you're going to start losing a lot of people because I think we're getting to a point where people are just frustrated with the world. I'm frustrated with the world. I think there's a reason why, if you look at most polls, people are not happy with the direction that their country is going in or the world is going in, right? And you want to know what I would love to manifest, to be really honest, is I would love to manifest that we start realizing that we're on that brink, and the people who are what I would call less blinded by hurt, much of it very much real. Very much real. All of it probably real, right? People who voted for Donald Trump are angry because the jobs that they once had are not there anymore. That is real.
Yeah.
That is real.
Yeah.
Right? And he's tapping into it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think people on the other side do that too, right? We're like, look, you're angry about this, right? Let's get angrier about it, right?
Yeah.
I think we deal with it a little bit better, but we're not as organized, right? And so I just wish that we could start pulling that hate back.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No,
You have to go see it.
You're one of the people
You
that
have to go see
has made me really want to see it. Is it still in theaters right now?
It is
limited.
It is, and it's in theaters. And it's got a blooper reel at the end and a thing from the directors at the beginning. It's really cool. They re-released it, and so if you haven't seen it, go and see it. But this is exactly what the movie is about. I don't want to spoil anything, but this idea of what is really stronger at the core of it. What is stronger, hate or love? Is so dumb and it's so cheesy. But what is stronger?
The only thing, there's a couple of things that I think anger can lead to change.
Absolutely.
Things like BLM
Yeah.
or even with the abortion stuff. I'm like, you know what? This is now my issue. I'm not in the States, but if I was living in the States, that is an issue that I have no problem getting mad at because I'm
100%.
you are now imposing on my rights, with my body.
And this is that Black Lives Matter, you name it, all of those fucking things, right? Those are things to get angry about because you can change it. You can change it, right? We're not going to be able to change J.K. Rowling's mind. We're not going to be able to change it. If it hasn't worked by now, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Pick your battles.
Yeah. Pick your battles, right?
That's
because
really
again,
what it comes down to.
What did I say before too? I sound like a teacher. What did I say before? Class? Is everybody listening? We have now it's off. It's off. It'll come back.
80%.
We are trying to figure out if people should have jobs who tweeted something 15 years ago and they got rid of abortion, right? That's what it comes down to is we can keep fighting these dumb little petty things, or we can say, hey, look, we need everybody who wants to make sure that we don't go into fucking tyranny, which look, we kind of already are in some ways. The government is very flawed and, it's a rigged system from the get-go. But if everyone just walked out of their jobs tomorrow, and said, no, we're not going back to work until we can see a dentist for free.
Right?
What if that happened?
Right?
Maybe that's what this Lionsgate portal is. The Lionsgate portal. Everyone out there listening, smash the...
Let's manifest free therapy for every human.
Yeah.
Once a month, free, at bare minimum, once a month, free therapy.
But someone's got to start it. And the problem is no one wants, because we're all terrified.
Well,
we're all terrified.
And that's the thing too about when I think about the Me Too movement, it's someone said so. It was probably a fucking Instagram quote, but someone essentially said that there are two types of people. There's the people who run for cover during the storm, and then there's people who face the storm. And not everyone is cut out to face the storm.
No,
but some people are.
Yeah,
and the women who stood up to Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Those first initial women who came out.
Yeah.
About it were the ones who stood up and faced the storm, and then the others followed.
Yeah. Who look, Monster should die in prison. I hope he never sees the light of day again. Yep. Okay.
Yep. I don't think he's that bad.
Oh my God.
Unpopular opinion. No.
Yeah. You're gonna fucking go on a date with him, Sarah? He'll be your baby daddy. He'll be your baby daddy.
I just think it's funny with unpopular opinion. No one's really come out hot with something like that yet.
I think that it's so funny because Monster, awful person. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein, disgusting, awful, vile person. Bill Cosby, I think probably up there for me too, based on everything, right? Yeah. And then
You're not gonna,
then you got to look at like, okay, then there's the next tier of people, right? Someone like Louis C.K. We're like gross, really disgusting.
Doesn't deserve to die in prison.
Don't know that I would want to see him on a show again or anything like that.
Yeah.
Could probably watch old episodes, but I'd still be grossed out about it. Kevin Spacey's in that too, right? Like whatever. But like, don't deserve to not like live a life too.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, I think that if they have done if they've done this well, if they've taken the time, and I don't know if they have or not, but like I would be fascinated to see a whole stand-up special about Louis C.K. actually working through that.
That would be fascinating.
Would be fascinating.
Just hear his side.
Not even his side. I want to hear his responsibility.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't care about sides, right? Like, look, every boob I touched in high school, and there weren't that many, every boob I touched in high school, I had to try to touch it 10 times before I actually got to touch it, right? Because I would go and she would move her hand away, and I would go and she would move her hand away, right? And I've talked to people I went to high school with, and I said, you know, like, did you feel that way? And they sort of say like, when we were that age, we were told, don't let boys touch you because they'll think you're a slut. Don't let boys touch you because you'll get pregnant. Don't let boys touch you because then they won't want to date you or they won't want to marry you, right? So they were like fighting those battles. Whereas like the guys were like, again, grab a girl and kiss her. That's how she'll fall in love with you. Like she doesn't like
this is what I have to do.
Right? So we weren't teaching ourselves. Society wasn't teaching us how to behave in those situations. We've become better now. We've become better. We know what like enthusiastic consent is, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we can't say that we don't know, right?
Exactly.
That's not an excuse anymore.
It's not.
Right?
It's not. The world has changed quite a bit. And we have the ability to learn.
Isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream? But like, how can you learn if someone is constantly just yelling at you that you are a racist or you are this or you are that?
Totally.
Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're right about the tiers of people. Like there are some people who've done things that fuck you, die. Like you know what I mean? Like
and then even lower tiers, like that thing that happened with Aziz Ansari, right?
Yeah.
Where that woman wrote that thing and he was like, look, like, am I perfect on every date? No. Like, but I feel awful that I did this. And like, obviously that wasn't my intention. And I apologize to her and like, am happy to have a conversation and to take the responsibility and stuff. And like, again, like I'll watch he took it. He said what he said and he came out and like, he accepted responsibility. He acknowledged what he did was like not wrong necessarily, but he could have handled it in a better way.
Oh my God, wild. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's tiers of this stuff and we have to get better at, I think, sifting through that.
Yes. And and not seeing things as just this or that.
Yeah.
Black, white.
Yeah.
There's fucking, I remember I did a whole podcast episode about that.
Yeah.
Literally when that happened, I think it's literally called We Have to Talk About Aziz Ansari or something. And because it happened around when all the Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
I think that there was this like fucking heightened like female like rage.
Yeah.
That was happening and really.
And rightly so. Rightly so.
And the thing about that situation is because it was not a full-blown rape. Like, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but like it was a more. What am I trying to say?
Oh my God. I'm not going to help you because I'm going to fuck it up.
What he did was not on the Harvey Weinstein level. It was not.
Of course not.
It was a more nuanced behavior.
He was on a date with someone. And
he fish hooked her.
Yeah.
But like it was triggering for a lot of women, I think, because I think a lot of us thought, oh, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I've been letting guys do that this whole time.
Yeah.
I think that was like a big thing for a lot of women.
I think most of us 10 years ago would have said, if someone's having sex with you, they want to be like, and it's not like you went on a date and they're having sex with you or whatever, they want to have sex with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If a man and a woman are married and they're having sex, they probably want to be having sex, right?
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a valid at that point. At that point, not anymore. And absolutely, it wasn't then. It wasn't then, but that was like the common sort of knowledge, right? Where like, hey, if you had sex with someone and you weren't saying no, then like that's a yes, right?
Yeah.
But like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry.
It is. It's so complicated. Because I've definitely had times in my life where I haven't spoken up. But I'm just going to be honest, like those are not times where I've gone, what a rapist.
Yeah.
And fuck this guy.
Yeah.
It's been times where I've gone, that wasn't cool. And there's things you could have done to read body language better. But also, hey, I got to advocate for myself and also know that I can say no.
Yep. And I think it goes back to that, like, is it maliciousness? Is it ignorance? Or is it like, intelligent? Right. And so like, look, if you were to call up a guy that you had one of those experiences with that, let's say, traumatized you, right? Yeah. And you were like, hey, look, can we go for coffee? So whatever, you go, you talk and you explain your side of the story. If he's like, well, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. You wanted it, right? Then you know right away where their head is at. If they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
Like, you know where their head is at, right? Because if we can all acknowledge that we've all, like, when I hear guys say things like, well, I've never made a girl uncomfortable. I'm like, how do you know? Yeah. How do you know?
They're just
like,
not
how do you know?
They might not just be calling you out on it.
Yeah. And like, it might not even be someone you know. You might have been on a train and like, just subconsciously, you might have been walking behind someone at night and not knowing that you made them uncomfortable. Like we all do, because that is the nature of unfortunately what it has been.
Yep.
So if we can at least acknowledge that, look, like all of us have probably made someone uncomfortable at one time. And in the same regard, maybe even a lot of women could say like, look, I definitely have not said no when I should have. Like, exactly. I wish I would have been more firm with my whatever at the time, right?
That's a big thing.
Then we can all acknowledge that we have some responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't mean that, look, Harvey Weinstein's people had no responsibility. Like the women, they have no responsibility in that, right? Like he was a monster. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But, like, I'm assuming you've had hookups that you regret the next morning. I've had hookups that I regret the next morning, but like, I wasn't forced into it. Right.
How do you feel about the phrase, like, okay, so like a bad breakup happens. Yeah. And like someone gets heartbroken.
Yeah.
The idea of you're the person who got dumped, but still figuring out what your role in the breakup was.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? I think so too. That's a thing I've brought up before, and I've been hit with like some like pushback on it.
No.
But like when I got cheated on, I heard that like you have to figure out what your role in it was. And at the time I was like, well, I didn't have a role. He cheated on me and broke my heart. And it's like, no. I was in a very unhealthy relationship. We were very unhappy and I stayed in it. Yeah. That was my role.
Yeah.
Did I deserve that? No.
Yeah.
But that was my role in it.
Yeah.
So, okay, what did we learn today, Sarah? Going forward, I'm not going to be in toxic, unhealthy relationships. I'm not going to enable shitty behavior.
Yeah. If you didn't learn from a relationship, like, I don't get that. Like that's the thing.
I don't get that either.
I'll come back sometime. We could talk about this stuff because like this stuff is fascinating to me because I do not understand. I do understand when people are like, oh, that breakup came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Right
after the breakup. But if a year later you're like, oh my God, he broke up with me. I'm like, you're just, yes, that happens. Of course, there are fucking monstrous people, awful people in the world who like just decide that they want something else, not you. Right. But yeah, every fight, like, of course it's fun to be right. Right. Like, but when I fight with my partner or, partners, of course we both have some fault in it. Right. Like there's always some fault, right. For most things, but again, like that could be 1%. Just like acknowledge that, like,
acknowledge the 1%.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Like just this victim mentality is, I just think never going to be good for anybody. And people who he was a gaslighter and he manipulated me. Well, it's like, bitch, how many times did you stay with him? Yeah. And I don't know. It's just,
we all have like, should I be able to walk down any street in the world with like dressed however I want and not be worried? Like, let's just say, okay, should I be able to wear a romper?
Yeah.
Romperjack.com. Okay. I'm looking for sponsorship. I've got 9 of your items. Should I be able to walk down the street in a romper and a fancy pair of glasses and my nails painted and be free of being called a slur?
Yeah.
Of course I should. Of course I should.
Yeah.
Is that the world we live in?
No.
It's not. And so, you know, yeah, I can get angry about it, but also I need to take some responsibility of like, hey, you know, I'm in this, let's say I go to fucking a country where gay people aren't allowed, right? I'm going to need to dress in a certain way. If you go to visit, you know, some Middle Eastern countries, the women have to be fully clothed there.
Yeah.
That's their law.
Right.
Right. If you don't like it, don't go. That's cool. If you don't like it and you want to like try to free them from it because you believe that all of them are oppressed, which many of them are, then cool.
That's cool too.
But
you doing it as making a choice.
You doing it as making a choice.
And if you make that
there's
choice,
consequences.
there's consequences.
Yeah, there's consequences.
This is the thing. There's fucking consequences. Yeah.
You know, and that's with everything. That's with comedy, what we talked about. That's with, you know, relationships. That's with anything in life, you know.
Picking your battles.
Picking your battles.
Podcast episodes that I never posted that like, I'm glad I didn't post because I'm just like, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so make your fucking choices.
Yeah.
Now we're ending the real podcast because we just talked. We're approaching 4 hours. You are going to beat out.
Who? Didn't you do a 24-hour show one time?
You might be close to beating out Travis.
Okay.
Who has one of the longest episodes.
He
on the
is so good. Like he is, you know, he does not follow me on Instagram, and it doesn't matter because he will not watch this. So, last night I was at Sunday Sesh and he was headlining and I was up right before him, and the crowd was, to put it mildly, like rambunctious. And
at Sunday Sesh, no way.
I tried so hard to calm them down for him, and I walked off and they were not calm. And I even said, I was like, your headliner's not going to put up with this. You guys got to be quiet. Like, you know, just being playful with it,
That's so
right?
funny.
And I walked off and he was standing there, and I think he said 2 words to me. I'm just too intimidated to talk to him. But like, he said 2 words to me, but I walked off and I was like, oh, sorry, I tried so hard. And he's like, oh, I saw you trying hard out there. Like, what, like in a nice way.
Good.
And it was just this like great moment.
That's so great.
And like, that's all I need.
When Travis acknowledges that you're working, you couldn't ask for a better compliment from Travis.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
Because he's going, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Because my parents came to see me do comedy once, and Travis was on the show. And my dad now says all the time, well, yeah, my son does comedy with a guy who does This Hour Has 22 Minutes. Like, it's a big, like it's not, he doesn't get it. I love it. Like, whatever my dad needs. But like, yeah. Anyway, so Travis, that's your little origin story in my life.
That's phenomenal. I know this guy's beating you out for longest podcast.
Sorry.
We have one more segment, but you got to make it fast.
Oh, fucking hell.
Can you believe this? This is insane.
I can't believe we're there already. I can't believe it's already over. I'm just kidding.
I can't believe we did double what I said we were going to do. Ryan, what's your unpopular opinion?
Don't hate me for this, but it's time for an unpopular opinion.
Okay, I'm going to make it quick. Come From Away is a better musical than Dear Evan Hansen and deserved to win the Tony, and anyone who disagrees is wrong. There's one other big one that was Ragtime and Lion King, and I believe in 1998, and Lion King beat Ragtime, which I love as a musical more, but The Lion King is groundbreaking, whereas Dear Evan Hansen is a piece of shit, which is why that is the most egregious Tony Awards win of the last 25 years. That is my hot take.
Bam, bitch. I don't know anything what you said, but I'm sure it's going to piss some people off.
No one's going to know. No one's listening to this going to know.
But you know what? We still did the segment, and that's what it's about on this podcast. I covered all 4 segments in a monster of an episode. Okay, we are done, Ryan. Okay, thank you so much for coming on for a 4-hour. But also, I think this was like insane. Great conversation. We went so many places.
I just want to acknowledge, if anyone has listened to this whole thing,
we need to give a prize away.
Yeah, we should know what we should tell. Like, we should do something right now where we're like, if you text Sarah this word, we'll buy you a drink next time.
Actually, that's a great idea. Yeah. I do secret hashtags usually at the end of episodes, longer ones. So we can come up with a hashtag, and what you're going to have to do not comment publicly on Instagram on the post or whatever. Yeah. DM Intoxicated Podcast with the hashtag.
When you smash the like button.
And what are we going to do? We're going to do something. We'll send you some
if we know you, we'll like buy you a drink sometime. Like,
I'm going to assume we probably know you.
We'll buy you a drink sometime. if we don't know you, come to a comedy show and we'll buy you a drink. Look at that. I don't know. Yeah, that's
or
fine.
potentially a comp ticket to a show.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
That's something we can totally do because you're running a bunch of shows.
Yeah, I can do
I'm
that.
actually going to throw it over to you to plug all the things you have coming up.
Oh, okay.
And especially, and I'm going to plug it at the top of the show, but the new Wednesday night, late night
so
Mike.
while I do this, you think of a hashtag because I'm not good at that.
We gotta
So we're starting, it's going to be this Wednesday. It was supposed to be every Wednesday, but then I thought it was supposed to be monthly. So we're trying to figure it out if it's going to be every Wednesday, but it's the Wednesday night workout at Freeman's. And it starts at 10 o'clock. It's 15 comics. You get 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to blow a whistle at 5 minutes. So you have to stop talking at 5 minutes if you haven't wrapped it up by then. I would like it to be a rambunctious but polite crowd, if possible, to let you know whether your stuff is funny or not. And that is going to be on Wednesdays in September. I'm starting a show called Cringe, which is basically like this show where people can bring their diary entries, their old rap lyrics, their poetry. I'm going to ask them some questions about themselves at the time that they wrote it, and then they're going to read it, and then I'm probably going to have some questions for them afterwards. And
so fun. When is that?
That's September 15th.
Oh, okay.
At Hop Yard.
For some reason, I was like, is that soon?
No,
I'm on that show,
it's
right?
Still, yeah. You're gonna come. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm going to read old live journal entries.
Because this is the thing. It's the thing is though, I will say if there's people who are listening to this and they have these things and they're not a comedian, I would actually prefer to real people, not that comedians aren't real, but you know what I mean? People who aren't used to making a joke, because the point is that the journals are the joke, not making jokes about them, right?
But that's actually what I love about it, because it should speak for itself. The Cringe.
I think so.
It's not about jokes.
And then I've got some other ideas, but that's what I'm focusing on right now. I think we're going to do another queer show at Darkside because we sold out the last one. And
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This guy is a hustler. Not only is he very funny comedian, he's great on Twitter. You got to follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
What's your Twitter again?
I don't know.
I'll link it.
I think it's Call Me Ryan 902. I know that's my Instagram, but I don't know if that's also my
Call Me Ryan 902 on Instagram.
Call Me Ryan 902 also on Twitter.
And on Twitter. And you are also killing it with producing shows now, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So very valuable to the scene, and I adore you.
It is lovely to be able to do it, and I will do it until people don't want me to anymore. So that's what I'll say.
Do it always.
No.
Fuck
not if people don't want it.
Fuck 'em.
No, but that's like saying I'm going to keep telling this joke even though no one's laughing.
Like
if no one's interested, I'll
if it's aimed,
I got a lot of TV to catch up on. I've never watched fucking Breaking Bad. I got lots of stuff to work on. Yeah.
Shit, you gotta watch that shit.
Anyways,
I adore you.
Thank you for the fun.
Thanks so much for this incredibly long chat. That was totally unnecessary, but also great.
Yeah, I hope. I just before we go, I'll say one last thing. I realize in my mind that a lot of what has been said today is obvious. I'm just high, so I think it's genius, and so I apologize. I just want to say I know it's obvious.
I think. We need a hashtag.
Oh, hashtag obvious. Hashtag obvious.
Hashtag obvious.
Yeah.
We're at the very end. It's hashtag obvious.
Hashtag obvious.
And text that to Intoxicated Podcast on Instagram. We will figure something out to give you for enduring this monster of an episode. I know you hate Joe Rogan, bitch, but you Roganed it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Fuck. Halifax's answer to Joe Rogan right here, everybody. Halifax's answer to Joe Rogan.
You're done, so you get to ring the bell.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
Thank you for listening to the Intoxicated Podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast app you use and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can also give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast, and check out our video episodes on the Intoxicated YouTube channel. Until next week, feel hard and talk hard. Intoxicated Podcast is hosted and produced by Sarah McClellan and brought to you by the messiness of life.